Hi y'all, good morning. We are right here at sunrise, although it's going to be a little while before we see the sun because we're down in the canyon right now. I'm on a road trip today down to Chattanooga, Tennessee to fish on Nickajack Reservoir. So with the sun coming up over these mountainous walls over here, it's going to be a while before we see it. But nevertheless, we out here at dawn, and the plan today is to go for a drift and try to catch some big catfish. Big blues, maybe a big flathead. I've caught a good mixture of both in past trips down here. Always love coming down to this area. Hate the traffic, but love fishing down here. So we're just going to start right here where I launched. I've got us on spot lock right now, but once we get baited up, I'm going to come off that and we'll just go for a drift. Now, right now, we're 39 feet deep, but as we work our way downriver here, we're going to get progressively deeper, down to about 110 feet deep, and then it's going to come back up and get shallower again. So we're going to just focus on this main channel river ledge and hit a variety of depths. And if we're lucky, run into some fish along the way. And if you're seeing this video, we got lucky, folks. I don't know how many times or how big a fish, just how lucky we got, but we got lucky. So let's get to it. I'm going to get you all here in the chest. We're going to get some of these shad on. We've got mostly shad for bait today, but my trip yesterday, I did get some random bycatches on cut bait on my catfish rigs. I got a white bass that I ended up using live on yesterday's trip, and also a yellow bass. Well, the white bass didn't end up getting eaten, so I kept him, put him in the cooler for today's trip. The yellow bass I had thrown in the cooler anyway. So we've got those in addition to our shad. And first thing we got here is our line wrapped around. Every daggone time I talk to a camera, something goes wrong. We got this mess undone here though. So let's get our first bait on. We'll put a head bait on one and a chunk on the other. And I'll show you the rigs. We're going to be using light tackle again today. So we hook into a 50+ pound catfish, we're in for a good time on this gear. But this is a shad head on a number 1 sized shiner hook, little Kale style hook. We've got a section of fluorocarbon there. It's 15 pound fluoro, swivel, little 2 ounce egg sinker, 15 pound braid for the main line. This particular rod is an ugly stick inshore rod with a Daiwa BG 4000 reel. So I'm going to lower this straight down to the bottom. And we've got some flow when I come out here from the launch over to here. It looked like the current was going to take us about 0.5-ish. So when we first drop our baits down here, our line's going to be at a little bit of an angle. But once we get on the move, everything will straighten out and our lines will be vertical down there under us. So that's the setup on the left. On the right over here, we've got the same terminal tackle, same Carolina rigged leader here, but the rod's different. This is a Catfish Sumo light tackle rod, and we're going to have a different section of bait here. I'm going to take this little section of shad, midsection, and just run that hook through, and we're going to do the same thing with this. Drop it down, and then we're going to get on the move. Now, as we make our way down through here, like I said, we're going to have a very big depth change as we make our way along. I mean, going from 40 feet to 110 feet, that's significant, folks. So what we're going to do is just lower our baits as we move along, so that as the depth changes, our bait's depth changes is going. I can't get my words out. You know what I'm trying to say. We're going to try to keep our baits 2 to 3 feet off bottom as we move along. So we will have to lower them as the depth changes down through here. So let's get my remote here out of the way first thing and foremost. So I'm going to come off spot lock. We're going to just get on the move here. Just start drifting and let that current take us. Now, one thing I've been wanting to try out, so today I'm in my newer kayak here. This is the Old Town Sportsman 120. I've got the Minn Kota Tarova motor and this Humminbird Explorer 9 graph, and they're linked. That motor came with the cord, Ethernet cord, that goes from the motor head to the back of this graph, and so now that's how we can operate the motor here based on the screen. Well, it's also got some other features, and regular viewers, you've seen me lately when we've been fishing without any current flow. I've been following contours, just trolling, and we pick which contour we want to follow on the screen, set our speed. The motor just drives us and the kayak along. It's been nice. This thing also has a feature though called drift, and apparently we can control our drift downriver. So for instance, once we kind of figure out for sure what our speed's going to be, I think I'm going to try that to slow us down maybe like 0.1 miles an hour under it. So if we're moving at 0.5, I'm going to try to rig this thing up so we can move at 0.4. So we'll be slightly slower than the current, which will allow our bait scent, the blood and oils and stuff leaching off those cut bait, that will get out in front of us as we drift along, so that those fish that are downstream waiting on stuff to drift by, they can lock in on that scent and be ready for it when we get to them. Or if they're super aggressive, is that a fish or is that a snag? I think that was a snag. I think that was a snag, folks. Got me excited for a second because I'm talking to you, not watching my rods, and yeah, let's get everything reset now that we're vertical. We probably had that bait dragging bottom, truth be told, because we had our line go down at an angle when we were on spot lock, and now everything's vertical. But anyway, like I was saying there, I want our scent to get out in front of us. That way fish are ready for it, and if they're super aggressive, we'll come actively get it. But I want to see today what's happening at the deeper depths. We've been fishing the shallows a lot lately, and on my home waters, it's been very productive as far as numbers of fish go. We're starting to see some of those fish that are coming off the nest. I got one yesterday that had been marked up and beat up a little bit. The trip before that, I saw one, had scars all over him. I think we're coming out of the spawn here, and with Nickajack here being further south than where I live, these fish went on the nest a little sooner. They should have done come off. So I'm hoping we get on a good post-spawn bite today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring you with me on a real trip here, y'all. This is going to be a day where, most of my trips, let's face it, they're short anyway. I'm fishing 4 hours, 5 hours at the most anyway. But especially right now, this time of year when it's blazing hot, we're going to fish out here in the morning while it's still comfortable, reasonable temperature. And we're going to get the hell out of here when it gets blazing hot. Once that sun gets up over the canyon over there, me and you going to roll out. So I'm just going to leave the camera going the whole time. We're going to just leave it running nonstop. You're going to see everything from when we're dropping baits down here now to when we roll out, to any fish that come up splashing the water surface there, to wave at us or flip us the bird or the fin or whatever it is that's vulgar that fish do. You know how them fish are, man. They're all vulgar down there. If YouTube could translate what they're saying, you'd just be sickened by what they say to me. But nevertheless, that's the plan today. We're going to have a real fishing trip here, and I'm going to drift these baits along. If we get on some fish, or maybe we find a particular depth that we're finding them at, or maybe we get down here to this 110-foot hole and we're either catching fish or marking fish on the screen, we might hit the spot lock again and set there. But what I'd really like to do today is just drift and cover water. My last several trips has been days where we just don't have any flow. Most of the morning trips in my area, East Tennessee, we haven't had enough rain to have flow. So I've told this in some recent videos. This will be a rerun for a lot of you, but if you're new to the channel, when you're fishing on the Tennessee River, this river used to be an actual free-flowing river. Well, back before, I don't know the exact year, but long before I was born, TVA, the Tennessee Valley Authority, started building hydroelectric dams along this river. And now the current flow is controlled by TVA. So the only time we have current is if they're generating at the dams. And this time of year, in these hot summer months, we don't get as much rain as what we do in the winter and the spring. So they can't generate 24/7. So what they do is they will turn the generators off at night and keep them off until usually late morning, midday sometimes, depending on exactly how much rain, because they want to generate when the greatest energy demands are being felt throughout the day, right? So in the afternoon when it's super hot, everybody's got their air conditioning going nonstop, and all these businesses are open and everything. There's just more energy demand, so that's when they're going to generate. Well, if you're a fisherman and you want to get out at dawn and do some drifting, well, tough break, because there usually isn't any flow. But down here today, we're fishing close enough to the dam above here, and they're actually moving a little bit of water that we've got some current flow down through here, which has us moving about 0.5-ish. So we're going to take advantage of it and just let it take us. And I've always thought fishing's a little easier with current because, again, you can get your scent dispersed, whether you're anchor fishing or drift fishing. Like, you can get the water to help do some of that work for you, versus when you're trolling in a lake or even out here when you don't have flow, you kind of are dependent on either, if you're anchored, you need fish to come through your baits to find them, or if you're trolling, you need to kind of create your own scent trail and hopefully bring your baits in front of fish so that they can find them. So it's, in my opinion, it's always easier to have current flow helping you out. Now, there's limitations, of course. Too fast a current flow, especially in a kayak, can present its own challenges. You have to vary your techniques, and for me, this is what I like to do. I like suspend fishing. I specifically like suspend drifting. So for me, ideally, current flow like we have today, 1/2 mile an hour. Sometimes you get up, depending on time of year and season, you can go 0.8 to 1 mile an hour drifting speed and still whack some fish. But for the most part, 1/2 mile an hour, I feel like, is the ideal speed. And I'm hoping today, I think, let's try this. I'm honestly not even sure exactly how to set it up. I've seen it on here before. A better YouTuber would have watched some videos. Okay, here it is, drift. Now let's I wonder if we need to set, this says 0.2. I'm wondering if that's going to move the kayak 0.2. Well, that ain't what I want to do. That's moving us upriver. Do I wonder if I need to reverse? That's what I need to do. Right? Or will that just make the motor go the other way? We may not be using this feature because my dumb ass, I know of this feature, but I didn't watch exactly how to set it up, per se. We'll see. Maybe when I reversed it there, maybe that'll get us going downriver. I mean, ultimately what I want to do, and I guess we could use the north feature on here too, and just set our speed a little less than, put our speed at 0.1 going forward, and then the current moving us back at 0.5 would slow us down to 0.4. It's a lot of math for this early in the morning. I've done lost half the audience here. I don't know, right now it says 0.4. We'll see. We'll just let this thing do its thing and see what happens. But don't come to me for educational advice on how to operate electronics. I'm terrible at it, and I make no claims otherwise. I did watch a video on how to set up the follow the contour feature, which has been very helpful on recent trips, because any of you that fish with me regularly here, I like to follow the contours when I'm working ledges and all that. Like, that's typically what I'm doing. Now, here this morning, we're not so much focused on that this morning. And here's why. This area through here is very narrow, okay? You can see, you know, shoreline to shoreline here. It's not very wide in itself, but of course you've got the drop here coming down on each side, right? And you get out here where we're at, this area here, even though I've got the screen kind of zoomed, or you know, zoomed out, this area through here is pretty narrow. So I'm pretty content just drifting right down the middle of the river and a section like this that's real narrow. Now, if you get in areas where the river's, say, a half a mile wide, well, then I'm going to pick a side. I'm going to pick one side of the ledge and really work those contours. But in today's case, just not as important to me. What's going on here? What's going on with that line causing it to do that? Is that a fish doing that, or is that... I don't know what the hell that is. Are we hitting bottom there? It shouldn't be. We're 48 feet deep. I think it might have been a fish nibbling or something. If he was nibbling, he's too damn small to be piquing our attention today. Yeah, y'all, that's going to be the plan. We'll learn some technology out here together today, hopefully. See how that feature works out, that drift feature. And have us some fun. And if you're seeing this, we caught some fish, and I don't know how many. But I'll tell you, when I've come down here in times past, I've had, don't get me wrong, I've had some days that were duds too. But I've had some days that were pretty magical down here as well. When you're catching fish that are huge and pulling them out of 80 to 100 feet of water, I mean, it's been some pretty awesome trips. And I've caught big blues here. I've caught big flatheads here. There definitely seems to be a bigger percentage of large trophy class fish down here versus the reservoirs that I fish closer to my home. So I always enjoy coming down here. And it's a nice change of scenery too, because I'll tell you, well, you all have seen my videos there around where I live back home. Like, the river's wider up there. It's a different terrain. You get down here, like, you're literally down in the mountain gorge. And this area gets very narrow and very deep. And I do think to some extent the fishing, at least catfishing anyway, I can't speak for other species, but I think catfishing can be a little bit easier down here. I mean, first off, because of the bigger percentage of large fish here versus some of the other reservoirs, but also too, just because of the terrain. Like, you take this stretch through here, you've got just a narrow section of river with very, like, you get down here, man, you don't have really any creeks, any major creeks for a good ways that are going to be dumping in here. You don't have any other smaller rivers dumping in this area. And that kind of simplifies things. Like, some of these reservoirs, like some of them back home, you take the last video for regular viewers, the area we fished. So I launched in a creek that was a couple miles long, and it comes out to a big wide open flat, and then you drop down into water that's 60 feet deep, and then you've got a section of river that's quarter mile to half mile wide, and then you come up on the other side, and you've got another big flat on the other side, and then there's creeks that are coming in all along the way. Fish could be literally anywhere. So it takes longer oftentimes to kind of dial in a pattern and figure out where fish are at, what they want, etc. Whereas down through here, we don't have to worry about the creeks. we ain't got to worry about no backwater areas because they ain't none. And the flats here, yeah, you know, coming down through here, you might have some smaller flats, kind of levels, right, where you'll come off at a steep drop, and a little bit of a flat, and another drop. You'll have some of that, but they're not very wide. Like fish that are up there, they can't roam around too much because there's not much area for them to roam. So typically when I come down through here, I'm just going to fish right down the middle of the channel, keep my baits deep. This summer month time period, I tend to do better historically fishing super deep. This year has been an exception. Now, I'm saying it's been an exception based on how the fishing has been back home for me. With the river back home, see, here's the difference. When I'm fishing, say, Fort Loudon or Watts Bar, up there, you know, I'm fishing typically middle to lower half of those reservoirs. Well, you have very minimal current flow down at the lower end because it's so deep and so wide. Even when they're moving water, you're just not getting much flow. And so when it's super hot and you've got water temps in these summer months, like even down here today, hell, surface temps 88 degrees. You get I don't say oftentimes, but this year we've had thermocline issues. And so that has brought the fish higher up, shallower depths. And so I've been getting them lately kind of 20, 25 feet deep up on the flats versus most years when we have a little bit more flow, might be getting them down like on the deeper edges of the drops downriver. So, I'm curious today to see how this is going to go fishing this deep. Now, the good thing is I'm not seeing any kind of thermocline on the graph, and I'm actually seeing some, well, looks like some bait fish of some kind on down toward the bottom here in 45 feet. So that's encouraging that I'm not seeing any kind of thermocline issues and we're seeing fish deep. But this area with us fishing as high up on the reservoir here as we are, and with this area being so narrow, when they do move water throughout the day, even if it's just during the peak energy demand time periods, that's going to provide enough current flow that there shouldn't be any kind of thermocline issues down here. I don't expect for us to see a thermocline. So that's why I kind of want to get back to trying what would typically work this time of year and see how it's going down here. But this is my first time in Chattanooga in, I don't know, 2 or 3 months probably. I haven't fished down here since well before the spawn started. So I really, I can't speak one way or the other as to how things are going down here, right? Like, I don't know. We're going to find out today. And if you're seeing this, things are going well, apparently. So, yeah. But I would love to bust a big flathead today. I got a pretty nice flathead yesterday. I was, of course, working a shallow flat there, and I got up to an area that I caught a fish, and I just saw a bunch of what looked like fish right along the bottom. And so I hit spot lock, and we're sitting there, another rod goes down, and we were just stumbled into a pile of fish. Why they were there on that particular area, I couldn't tell you. There wasn't anything that appeared to be special about it that would hold fish there, but there just happened to be a school of fish there, and it was about 3 hours into the trip. We'd been covering water, and we just ran into them. I hit spot lock, and we sat there and just whacked them one after another, and eventually had a nice flathead work through. So it was a welcome surprise. It was the first flathead I had caught in a while, and I was happy to get it. So I'm going to raise our baits up here. We're 43 feet here now where we at. So we're going to have to raise them up a little bit. But again, as we go down river here, it's going to get progressively deeper. So I'm anxious to see what happens when we're down 60 feet, 80 feet, 100 feet. I've pulled some huge fish out of this 110-foot hole downriver from here. Don't mean there'll be any here today, but there's a precedent for it, you know. Like we've been there and done that, so I have a lot of confidence in it. I want to try to figure this out. I wonder if we can adjust our path. I don't know how to do that. I would like to, the wind is kind of pushing us this way. I'd like to kind of get back in the middle, or maybe over here a little bit. I don't know. It's got this, it says Dodge. I may be going the wrong way. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe we need to... You know what we need to do is one of y'all needs to watch some videos on this crap and then give me a crash course tutorial on all of the stuff that's pertinent to what I do. Because I don't do technology, folks. How the hell I've made it this far on YouTube is a miracle in itself, with me not knowing diddly poo-poo about technology. Well, now we're speeding up. We're a mile an hour, spinning us around in circles. Yeah, I have no idea. Let's turn this crap off. Oh, it says drift paused. Why the hell did the drift pause? Let's turn this crap off. Let's turn this off. I don't know how to operate this, folks. Now, I'm going to get pissed off and start saying cuss words on this video, and y'all don't want to hear that. That ain't good for nobody. That ain't good for business. That ain't good for you. It's not good to be angry while you're fishing. Fishing's supposed to be fun, and technology frustrates the hell out of me. I mean, we could always go to autopilot and slow our speed down that way. Like have it driving forward, but at such a slow speed that the current will still move us back. That's doable. But, yeah. You know what? Hell with it. We're just gonna drift at the current speed is what we're gonna do. Let's lower our baits back down, though. We're dropped back off 48 feet. We'll go old school here and manually move to the right and left when we need to. I need to watch some videos on that, y'all. I'm sure the information is out there and been covered numerous times. I found a bunch of videos when I was researching that follow the contour feature. I've been pretty lazy overall with electronics. I've got that other bow mount motor on my Hobie Pro Angler kayak, and it's got features as well, but that motor can't link to a graph, or at least the graph that I have, it can't link to. So I pretty much just use the basic features. If I want to go spot lock, I'll push the button on the remote. If I want to use that course heading or north feature, whatever it's called, I get the direction I want to go and hit the button and it drives. With this, everything being linked on the screen, like you have more options, more features. I just don't know how to operate those features. So this setup is way better than what I've had. I'm just ignorant on how to use it. I've never needed this kind of crap to catch fish. But as I've told you all before, it's like the better the tool, the easier it is to get the job done. So it's silly to have these features and not use them. But at the same time too, there's value in keeping things simple. So I wanted to use this kayak today down here specifically for the, well, not just the drift feature, but the spot lock too. Like, I love fishing out of my Hobie Lynx. But let's say we did get down here in this 110-foot hole and there was a pile of fish down here and we want to sit there on them. Well, there's two issues with anchoring that Hobie Lynx. First off, I got to use a physical anchor. And to anchor in 110 foot of water with some current flow, you need a hell of a lot of rope for that, which I don't have on my current anchor setup because I ain't normally anchoring that deep with that kayak, right? The other thing that happens out here that's going to be a problematic when you're fishing is the fact that you have a lot of barge traffic. Undoubtedly, we will see some this morning. And with this area of the river here being so narrow, when a barge comes through, you've got to get the hell out of the way. Then barges have the right of way here on the river, and they ain't going to stop for you. Hell, they can't stop for you, even if they wanted to. So if, left rod got a little bump. A little tap. He thought better of it. But if you got a barge coming through and you need to get out of the way, and you've got well over 100 feet of anchor rope out that you have to manually pull up, well, God forbid you get a fish bite at that time, and you got to fight the fish, get that rope up, and get out of the way of the barge. Boy, I mean, that could be trouble real fast. So having the spot lock to anchor you versus an actual physical anchor, so much better as far as safety goes. Way better to have that, because you can just come off spot lock and move if you need to. So I wanted to have that feature available to us today. That way, if we did want to sit on the deeper hole or anywhere else down through here that we mark fish, we would have the ability to do so while also getting our butts out of the way if need be. I like anchoring that Lynx, don't get me wrong. It's pretty easy platform to anchor with a physical anchor, and I just use a dumbbell most of the time. But at the same time too, I like being anchored in places where I'm not going to be in the way of barge traffic, and also places that are just kind of safer to do so. So anyway, this setup here, having spot lock, is definitely a nice safety feature for sure. But yeah, I've got a lot to learn with this setup, and will using all of these tools help us catch more fish? Well, probably. I mean, that follow the contour we've been using, I think, has been very helpful. I could do the same thing manually, just like I've always done, but it's kind of nice. I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of nice to have it. So, yeah, I think it will lead to some more fish, maybe not on an individual day basis, but over the course of time, numerous trips. But I will get back to fishing in my Lynx here before long. I just wanted to give this kayak here kind of a full run. One, because I had some video obligations to do with it, but two, just figure out if I wanted to keep this kayak as my primary, like, big kayak tournament boat versus the Hobie Pro Angler that I've fished out of the last several years. And I'm pretty confident that I do. I don't have any major complaints with this setup. I don't like the rudder system. I thought I would like it in the beginning, but it's proven to be a pain in the ass as far as raising and lowering. Even though Raccoon Creek was able to, I couldn't figure out how to run them cords. But I went up there to the Ohio trip for the tournament. I stopped by Raccoon Creek Outfitters, and they solved my problem within a few minutes. So they've got it working correctly, but it's just the design of it makes it difficult to stow and deploy, and also to steer with your feet. It's just a poor design. I hope at some point that Old Town will remedy that and come up with a better way, if you will. But overall, though, the kayak, it's comfortable. It's big enough for me to carry the gear I want to carry. It can easily support the weight of that bow mount motor. The bow mount motor was easy to install. All of this floor space allows me the opportunity to make that dashboard, which is just a piece of wood. It's a board. And I've mounted the graph and the rod holders to it, so everything stays in front of us out of the way, while still at the same time opening up all of this floor space. So if we do land a monster fish, we've got somewhere to put it here once we land it. And of course the rear tank well, I can put my cooler back there, or if I want to go wild and crazy one day and carry my cooler and my bait tank, both will fit. We've used them both on here, so I don't really have any complaints with this kayak. It's a pretty nice setup. Am I suggesting that you should go out and buy one? No, not necessarily. I mean, it may be the right kayak for you, but kayaks are so personal, man. It's tough to... It's probably the most common question I get asked is what kayak I would recommend for so-and-so, whatever river or lake you're fishing, yada, yada, yada. But it's the most common question I get asked, but it's also the question that's impossible to answer, because everybody's needs are different. What's important to me and how I fish may not be important to you and how you fish. And a kayak is just, it's a series of compromises. You can't have it all. If you get something that's super fast, it's probably not going to be very stable. If you get something that is really lightweight, it may not be very durable. Like, there's trade-offs, and you have to figure out. Look at this dragonfly right here in front of us. He's buzzing around. He wants his moment of fame, buddy. But I mean, you have to figure out what's most important to you and find the particular brand or model of kayak that's going to best suit your needs. There is no perfect kayak. Now, you can achieve perfection through multiple kayaks. Like, you might have one kayak for this situation and another kayak for that situation. Like, you can find kayaks that will meet various needs, but finding just one model that will do everything, that's tough. I mean, I've had, like, when I had that Old Town Big Water kayak, I loved that kayak. It was great. I called it the Jack of all trades kayak because it was pretty good at everything I wanted to do. It wasn't great at anything, though. It wasn't the fastest. It wasn't the most stable. It didn't have the most storage space. It wasn't the lightest weight. But it was pretty good at all those things, right? It was fast enough. It was stable enough. It was durable enough. It was light enough that it was manageable. It had enough storage space to get me by. Like, it wasn't the best in its class at any of those things, but it was pretty good at all of them. So it was kind of a compromise. It was a jack of all trades compromise for me. But you take something like that Hobie Lynx, super lightweight. I can launch it anywhere. It's a foam-filled hull, so you're not going to get any water intrusion. Great for the ocean. And great for pulling through the sand, too, to access the ocean when I go on those trips. It's great in a lot of ways, but it's terrible in the wind. You can't mount rod holders very securely to it. You can't mount a big fancy bow mount to it, so it's got limitations, whereas something like this has the weight capacity to support the motor, but not going to be very lightweight. You definitely wouldn't want to drag this kayak here down the beach to launch in the ocean, to surf launch or something. Like, so, I mean, you can achieve perfection, but you're going to have to go to multiple kayaks to do it. And we got a rod here finally getting a little bit more of a commitment. I still don't think he's really got it. It ain't acting like a big fish, and I'm not sure he's 100% got it. I feel like he's just going to let it go. Uh-oh, and there goes our other left rod. Something's got it. Okay, we're drifting through some here, folks. We've got a little school of fish we're drifting to, 52 feet. One of you grab that rod over there, would you? One of you grab it. Let's get this one up, and we'll pick up on the... He's a little one right here. Oh, is that a baby flathead? Well, we got our flathead here, folks. We got the flathead. He's as big as the bait is the problem. I was wanting to get a flathead today, but I wanted them a little bit bigger than this. And when I say a little bit, I mean a lot. Check him out, though. I don't know if you can see with the poor lighting how the colors are on him, but that's like a daggone... Oh, I'm sorry. You popped right out of my hand. But it's like a daggone camouflage, man. That's a beautiful fish. Go on. All right, let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way a second. Now let's pick up on this one. You got you one on this rod? You do. Y'all could have had this fish reeled in. And if you're going to let me reel this one in, you could be baiting that other line over there right now. Why ain't you doing it? You're supposed to be my fishing partner. Why don't you lift a finger to help me ever? You make me do it all out here. You should have chauffeured my ass down here today so I didn't have to drive too. Or maybe brought some breakfast with you. I'm a little bit hungry. Is this going to be another flathead? No. This is a danged old channel cat here. He's got a skinned up head too. Here. I got the net over here on this side. Let's just snatch him up. Let's get him going real quick so we can get rebaited here. That's not what we want to see down here. We didn't come down here to catch no channel cats, folks. We down here for blues and flatheads. Lord, that hook has gone through his lip, and we have caught it with the net. There we go. Get the pliers here so we don't bend that thinner wire hook accidentally trying to get it out. Okay, see you, channel kitty. Oh, yeah, get on there, channel cat. Old thing, and channel cats are always some of the most difficult fish to deal with. They just don't want to calm down for nothing. That flathead, though, man, he was a good-looking flathead. 20 years from now, if he can keep himself alive out here, he's going to be a hell of a specimen. All right, let's drop this down. Another head bait going down on the left, and we'll do another chunk on the right. We'll stick with the shad for the time being, but we will work in that white bass and yellow bass throughout the day. We'll cycle them in as we move along, but the shad lately has been a productive bait, so we will at least start with it. Alright, let's take this piece here. I'm going to snip the tail off. We'll get it bleeding on both sides, maybe. Well, I can't get them dang. There we go. Now I got them. Couldn't get them fins snipped. Alright. Well, let's send this down. Down it goes. Alright. Took a while. We got our first two fish. I will tell you this, though. For those of you that have been watching some of my recent trips where we've been getting just big numbers of fish, today's not going to be that kind of day. Now, I'll tell you that. I probably should have told you that up front if you were wanting an action-packed trip. This ain't going to be it. I mean, I guess it's possible it could be, but it's not likely. It's usually when I come down here, I don't get lots of fish, but I usually get better quality fish. So I would expect today to maybe get, I'm gonna move us over just a little bit here. The wind's kind of pushing us toward this shoreline. I want to get us kind of back in the middle over here, and then we'll start our drift again. I would expect today, I mean, if we're going to fish, say, 4 hours or so, I would expect maybe 5 to 10 fish. 5 to 10 fish, and hopefully a couple of them be whoppers would be what I would hope for. But I don't think we're going to have a 20-30 fish day like I don't know how, honestly don't know how many fish we've caught on some of these trips lately, but there's been enough that I've lost count on some of these trips. But a lot of them have been small. You know, they've been smaller blues or channel cats, just dinks and whatnot. And down here, at least my experience down here, you don't get as many dinks, but you do have a better quality fish, better class of fish, if you will. All right, we fell back off to 56 feet by moving over a little bit, so let's lower these baits down some more. But yeah, kayaks, man, just to finish up on the other topic, like, you gotta figure out, what I would tell people is figure out about what you do about 75-80% of the time. Like, what style of fishing are you do the overwhelming majority of the time? Most people aren't evenly dividing their time amongst species, right? If you're a cat fisherman, you're probably spending the bulk of your time catfishing. Maybe you do a little bass fishing, or you're out catching bait, or some other style of fishing for part of the time. But if you're catfishing, chances are you're doing mostly catfishing, right? If you're a bass fisherman, they're mostly bass fishing. So get you a kayak that's going to be best accommodating for what you're doing the majority of the time. Now, the other times when you're not doing that particular style of fishing, that's when you're going to have to make your compromises. Unless you can budget and have the space for a kayak that is suited for those other times. But I know with the ever-increasing price of kayaks, it's gotten, the last few years specifically, man, the kayak industry has, it's gotten away from what it used to be. Kayak fishing back when I got started was, I mean, on one hand, you didn't have the number of kayaks and companies and options that you do now, but it was kind of a way to get on the water with a budget. And you still can do that today. You can, I mean, if you go the used route, certainly you can save a lot of money. And I would recommend going the used route too. You can get your best deals there. But I mean, if you're willing to paddle or pedal and forego the motors and all that, you can still do it on a budget. But like, if you want something that's rigged up with some bells and whistles on it, you're going to spend about as much as what you'd spend on a, well, I can't say that's true. It's not an apples to apples comparison. Because you can still get a fully rigged kayak way cheaper than you can get a fully rigged boat. Now, you can find you a John boat with a motor and graph and trolling motor and trailer and all that for less than what you can buy a new kayak for. But that's more of apples to oranges comparison, really, because you're comparing a John boat from the 1980s, let's say, with an older motor to a brand new kayak and all that setup. So that's kind of apples to oranges too. But still, what I'm getting at, the kayak industries, they're proud of everything they're making these days, more so than they should be. And prices keep going up. So like a rig like this, if you set up a kayak just like I got this one set up today, and you had to pay retail prices, you know, the kayak is $2,000. It's $19.99. Okay. That motor's like $1,500. So now you get $3,500. That particular model graph, I believe, is $1,400. So now you about 5,000. And, you know, here I've got a couple rod holders. That board set up, I mean, that's cheap. You're going to need a quick release bracket there for your motor to mount it. So that's like another $50. So, you know, you're 5,000, 5,200 range in there for a setup like this. So, I mean, kayak fishing ain't as cheap as it used to be. Now, meanwhile, like I said, you can go find you a good quality used kayak and a paddle. Probably have some accessories with it, maybe a graph, maybe some other stuff, and you'll get that for under $1,000. So I mean, you can do it on a budget, but you're going to have to sacrifice some things. You can't have it all on a budget. So it just comes down to what's important to you, what do you need, what do you want. I mean, I fished a long time, about 6 years. I fished out of a Native Ultimate kayak. It was a 2007 model that I had bought used. I paid $700 for it at the time, and paddled that thing everywhere, man. And I put a little cheapo graph on it and stuff, mounted some rod holders to it, and I caught a bunch of fish in that thing. Now, I wouldn't want to go back to that setup today. I'm a little too bougie for that now. But at the time, it was all I knew, and as far as kayaks go anyway, and it was enjoyable to fish out of it. Like I said, I caught a bunch of fish. Now, once I sold it, and again, I remember specifically, I bought it for $700, used it for like 6 years, and when I sold it, you know how much I sold it for? $600. So I basically used that kayak for several years for $100. That was all I lost on the sale. So, I mean, there is some value in going into the used market, because when the day comes that you do want to sell the kayak, whether you're getting out of the sport or you just want to change to a different model or whatever, if you find a good deal and buy a used one, you're going to get most of your money back, and maybe all of it back, depending on the kayak and when you've bought it and etc. So, you know, that's a possibility. But if you want something brand new and you're going to go pay retail prices and rig it up with all of this crap on here, you're going to pay a premium up front, and then when you do go to sell it someday, things are going to lose value, right? As soon as a used kayak ain't no different than a used car or a used boat. Once you drive it off the lot, it's technically used. Value's going to drop a little bit. You're not going to get the full retail price back out of it. So you're going to take it on the chin a little bit. Just comes down to what's important to you, you know. I can't tell you. I'm not going to spend your money for you. I certainly don't know how much space you have to be storing a kayak, or you get a heavy kayak like this, you're probably going to want to put it on a trailer. So, you know, all that's got to be taken into consideration. You take something like a kayak that's light enough you can put it in the back of your truck bed or on top of your car. Well, something like that, if you got a garage or something, it's a lighter weight vessel, you can hang it from the ceiling, get a lift or something, keep it up out of the way. Whereas if you got a trailer, a kayak that's so heavy you need a trailer and all that, like you got to have space for that. So again, everybody's needs are different. It's probably the number one question I get asked. Justin, I'm blah, blah, blah. What kayak should I get? And I can't answer that. I just can't. I don't know what's important to you. I don't know your balance, how much gear you're going to carry. Look, there's too many variables. I don't know the answer. It comes down to seat time. Like, you need to do some demo days. You need to go to these dealers and say, hey, I'm interested in these models. Do you have a way for me to try it out? Or go to a tournament. A tournament's a great thing to do. Not necessarily just from competing in it, but just go to the tournament check-ins and look at the other guys who are fishing. What are they fishing out of? Look for people who are similar body types to you and go talk to those guys and be like, hey, you and me, like, we're similar body types. I see you're fishing out of this kayak. Why did you choose this? What do you like about it? What do you dislike about it? Would you buy this again? Would you recommend this to somebody like me? They're going to be a way better source of information for you than somebody like me who doesn't know you or doesn't know your situation. And oftentimes too, when you go to these tournaments, check-ins and whatnot, and you got all these guys getting back to the launch around the same time, if you're friendly and strike up a conversation and you're showing genuine interest in something they have, most of the guys in the kayak community are pretty cool. They're pretty laid back, pretty chill. Like, they're probably going to just say, hey, why don't you take this thing for a spin, hop in it, go try it out. So, I mean, that's a great opportunity for you to get some real world, unbiased info from people in the exact model of kayak that you may be interested in, versus you get some influencer that's a paid shill, or watching a YouTube video, or you're going to a dealer who it's in their best interest to sell you the particular brands and models that have the highest profit for them. It's harder to, I'm not going to say dealers are dishonest. There's a lot of honest dealers. But if you're the type of person who has trust issues like I do, it's hard to fully believe anything anybody says. So I tell you what, I'm having a hard time believing is we're blowing upriver against the current right now. So we're going to go into autopilot, and I'm going to set our speed here. Let's go 0.4 on the speed. I want to get us moving downriver here. The wind, it's a light breeze. It's not blowing hard enough to really affect our fishing right now, but it is affecting our drift. It's got us, I'm watching the shoreline. I was like, man, we're moving backwards. We're like, the wind's blowing enough to offset the current flow plus move us backwards. It was moving like 0.3. So we'll get us going over here, and we'll let me get this thing turned a little bit there, get us going downriver. It looks like it's going to guide us on the path going this way. Yeah, that little line that way, the little pink dotted line, is pointing the direction that we're going to go. I want to keep moving that thing till it gets us going a direction that I want us to go, which is directly downriver. There we go. Okay, now it's pointing that way. There's where we want to go. All right. Well, we'll see what that does for us. Gets us on the move here. Gets us going the direction we want to go. See, normally, let's say I was in my pedal kayak, I was in the Lynx or something today, I would be pedaling into the wind right now. So we would have to manually offset the wind speed to keep us going the direction we want to go. But with this, that's the one feature I for sure know how to use, is that autopilot. It would just point it the direction you want it to go. Then you can hit the cruise control on your speed, and it'll just drive you in that direction. Fancy technology, folks. Ain't it amazing where we're at in society, in the world today? For those of you that listen to this crap I spew out on video oftentimes, you've heard me talk a lot about Buck Perry. Buck Perry's probably the greatest fisherman of all time, in my opinion. And he come up in a time, I guess, I can't ever remember when his books were written. Before I was born, 60s or 70s. I mean, he's long since dead, you know, and from a different generation. But back in his day, they didn't have all these contour maps and map cards on your graphs. They didn't have these fancy graphs, didn't have these fancy motors. He didn't have any of that stuff. And he was able to create a system of fishing. He's known as the godfather of structure fishing because he was the one that figured out how important the contours were to fishing. He would make his own contour maps. He created a lure called the spoon plug. And it was kind of a combination of a spoon and a plug, which is a crankbait, is what they called crankbaits back in. Some old timers still call them that. But it was a combination of a spoon and a crankbait. And he made that lure. Yes, it caught him fish. He caught a bunch of fish with it. But it was a way for him to map the bottom of the lake or river that he was on. Because he didn't have contour maps for the most part back then. For damn sure didn't have electronic contour maps. So he would make his own contour maps, and he figured out how fish related to particular contours. And he wrote books on it. And I've read everything I can read that he has ever written because, I mean, it's just an amazing amount of knowledge. But really, I mean, yeah, it's been a long time since he wrote those books, but in the grand scheme of life, in the grand scheme of the universe, it was the blink of an eye ago when he was doing that. And you look at how far technology has come since Buck Perry's day, when he was in a dang fiberglass boat about the size of this kayak with an outboard motor and no fancy electronics, no map cards. But I don't even think Buck had a trolling motor. Some of the stuff I've seen, like if he got on a school of fish, he'd just drop a physical anchor on them and fish that way. Like, you look at how far we've come in such a short time between the GPS motors and forward-facing sonar. Like, it is such a huge technological change in such a relatively short time. I can't imagine. I'm 44 years old right now. Hopefully, if all goes well for me, I'm going to live another 35, 40 years. What is fishing going to be like 30 years from now? Like, what kind of technology are we going to have? Technology, it changes year by year, month by month. I mean, hell, look at something like ChatGPT. It was pretty damn amazing when it first came out, but look at it now. My thumbnail for the last video, I used ChatGPT to like brighten the picture I had. It was kind of dark. I had ChatGPT brighten it. And you know what I said? I put the picture, I clicked the little plus arrow on ChatGPT, I added the picture, and I just said, brighten the picture. And about 15 seconds later, it done exactly what I wanted it to do. Like, that, I mean, that, granted, that's something very minor compared to what it can do. But that's pretty damn amazing, man. It sure wasn't like that a few years ago. Oh, our left rod's slack over here. Did you see that? Our rod tip stood up, our line's slack. I think something may have our bait and it's come up in the water column potentially. Let's see if he starts to swim off and maybe that rod will go down. I think our line's kind of at an angle there. It's kind of moving. I want to just watch it go down. It's about to go down. You see that rod tip. Now he knows he's got it. He knows he messed up now. He knows it. I watched that line go slack when that rod tip come up. I'm like, he's hit that thing and went up in the water column. This is a good fish. He feels solid down there, man. Oh, it's a blue. Okay, it's a blue. I just felt him roll. But it feels pretty good. It's definitely going to be bigger than that flathead and that channel cat we caught a little while ago. 60 feet deep right now. Yeah, okay. We grinding, folks. We grinding down through here. We're just going to keep on the move. Keep trying to run into some fish, and along the way, we're going to get some. I love seeing them rods go down. This ugly stick here is a little bit lighter action than my other rod, which is also light action, but this one's a little bit more flimsy, a little too flimsy for bigger fish, but still functional. It's going to bring this thing up slow too because of the depth. Not that I can really horse the fish on light tackle very much, but don't want to bring them up too quick from these deeper depths. We ought to be seeing him here though fairly soon. The water's clear. There's all the bubbles. That's what we want to see. Yeah, he's a fun sizer, but not the quality that we've come down here for today, but not a bad fish either. Old fun sizer. Get on up in here, good buddy. There we go. Good news, today I did bring the camera mount, front camera mount. Unlike yesterday where y'all forgot it. Well, where is he hooked at? Oh man, he got it kind of deep, but it's gettable. Let's do some. Oh, that other rod over there got hit. Did you see that? That other rod over there. He let it go. Something got it though. Something hit that thing. This right here is a female fish. It's got a small mouth, which is going to make this part kind of difficult to get this hook. I see it's at the very back right here. Actually, it may be deeper than I thought. Let's see if I can get it. Fish, you just lay still right there, all right? Well, if its mouth was a little bit bigger, I could get in there. It's not, the hook point ain't all the way back down in the gullet, but boy, it's back there, man. Back there at the very back of it. All right, we got it. Did we bend our hook in the process though? Or damage the fish? I don't see any blood. Inside of the mouth still looks good. I don't see it bleeding out either gill. I think we got lucky with that one. Let's get a quick picture here. Let me put you all in the front seat. This fish got lucky. If he is about a quarter inch deeper back in the mouth, we'd have had to cut that hook. Small fun sizer though, just a lower end fun sizer there, if you will. Let's take a look at our hook. It looks okay, didn't bend it. I was worried getting them pliers and having to kind of pry it like I did and might bend that thinner wire hook, but it looked okay to me. All right, we are dropping off here 65 feet deep, so let's, first off, we got to move our line a little bit too. Get that slid over a little bit more. Let me use my remote here. That would make it easier, I think. There we go. Easier using the remote on that than the dang screen. Let's get some more baits. We're gonna switch out that one on the other rod too. And lower everything back down. Okay. We'll just reel that other one up when we get this done and switch them both out. Okay. Put our head bait on this one. Alright, down it goes. And we'll reel in our other one over here. 69 feet. We're going to start dropping off very quickly now. Down to, like I said, 110 feet deep. So we're gonna have to be adjusting these baits quite a bit now on this drop. We just want to keep them within a close proximity to the bottom. Not an exact science, but you want them. I don't want them any more up than 5 feet off the bottom. If you get fish that are real aggressive, real active, sure, they might come up a little higher for it if they know it's there. But for the most part, I want to try to keep it near bottom in their face. Especially since, you know, we're doing now what we are. Boy, what have we done here? There we go. You know, I kind of, in my mind, what the hell have y'all done? You got that rod, the line wrapped around the rod tip there. There we go. You know, ideally, I'd like to be drifting down through here at a slightly slower speed than the current, but with the wind blowing upriver like we are and completely offsetting our speed, we're kind of having to get ourselves moving, and it's kind of hard to. Hopefully we're keeping ourselves slightly slower than the current here, but you know, who the hell knows. We're just rolling with it. We're just gonna have some fun today, man. We're just going fishing. One of these days I'll get better to technology stuff and we'll dial everything in from the get-go, and that'll be that. But in the meantime, we're gonna do what we do and catch us some fish. And that last one it didn't fight as hard as it could have, but I mean, it was still pretty fun. When you pick up one of these lighter action rods and when you know you've got a fish that's a little bit better, but you don't know exactly how much better, it's a little bit more exciting. Same thing when a rod really gets buried and that drag's peeling. Like, until you get hold of the fish, you don't know what you got. Is it an overzealous dink? Is it a fun sizer? Is it a whopper? I don't know. Don't know till you get it up. I enjoy it though. I enjoy it at least until it gets miserable hot. and then not so much. I don't know how some of these fellas do it, man. Want to fish in the afternoon hours this time of year? I don't know why you'd want to when you can get out at dawn. They must just really hate waking up early. I don't really like waking up early either, but I mean, if the alternative to waking up early is to sleeping in and then going out in the blistering heat, it ain't a trade-off I want to make. That's just me though, to each their own. It's beautiful down here though, man. I wish it was easier access. And you might say, well, Justin, why don't you just move down here? I don't want to live down here, folks. I despise the traffic down here. Now, granted, the traffic ain't a whole lot better where I'm from, but I feel like every time I come down here, it don't matter what day of the week, what hour of the day, I'm going to run into problems. There's going to be some major construction. There's going to be a wreck. Like, I didn't have any slowdowns this morning. which got us on the water on time, thankfully. But I'd be willing to bet anything you want to wager that I'm going to get stuck going home. And my commute going home is going to be significantly longer than my commute down here, because it always is. So there's no way in hell I would want to live down here and have to deal with this all the time. I'm lowering our baits. We've dropped down to 79 feet now, so we're really falling off here. We'll have to do the same thing when we come out of that hole. It's 110 feet deep. It's going to come up really fast too, so we'll be doing the same thing in reverse when that happens. We'll be raising our baits up every little bit to keep them from. That's where things get questionable right there, folks, because it's easy to lower your baits down. You know, if we go for a stretch and our baits are 8 foot off the bottom, yeah, we may not get a fish, but not the end of the world. If you're 80 feet deep and you come up quickly to 70 feet deep and you don't adjust in time, you are very likely to get snagged, maybe have to break off, and that is a pain in the ass. So we just got to keep an eye on it. Hopefully we'll be through with the construction over here in a minute. They're working on something over here beside us. They got something. I don't know if they putting them rocks over there or what. They got something going on today. I don't envy these fellas like this that work out indoors, out in this heat all day. That's got to be brutal. The roofers too. Man, you imagine working, I mean, some of you maybe do. Do you imagine the summertime heat? Heat index is well over 100. Humid as all get out. And you up there on them hot shingles. I don't know how they do it. I couldn't do it. It ain't for me. I'm too bougie. Like I said, I'm soft in my older age here. When I was younger, I'd get out and do right rod. Something gave it a little tug. He tugged on it, he didn't come back for it. Let's drop down a little bit more here. Yeah, when I was younger, I would certainly fish longer hours and worse conditions, and really just whatever time I had to go, I would go. Weather conditions be damned. If it was pouring down rain, well, I'd just deal with it. If it was blazing hot or freezing cold, I'd deal with it. I may not have enjoyed it, but I'd deal with it. But now, I'm at a stage in life where I like comfort a little more. And now that I'm doing this YouTube crap, I can kind of pick and choose my days when I go. So, if it's real cold or real hot or pouring down rain or real windy, well, I just don't go that day. Or days like today where it's going to be miserable hot, like, well, I can get out and fish from about 6:30 to 10:30, be off the water before it really gets miserable, you know. Kind of pick and choose my battles a little bit. But I'll be the first to admit I've gotten a little softer in my old age. I ain't even old yet, but you know, we've been fed some lies on that, folks. Used to, you would think of, say, 50 years old as middle age, right? Like, that's what I always kind of heard and thought of as being middle age, was like your 50s. Now, I'm about to hurt some of y'all's feelings here. That's my age and older. But let me tell you something, y'all. 50s ain't middle age. Okay, yes, that would be true if you were going to live to 100. And maybe with all this new technology and all, maybe we all will live to 100 and beyond. I wouldn't mind living beyond 100 if I can be healthy and active and doing what I want to do. I don't want to be on a feeding tube in a damn nursing home bedbound at age 100. But I mean, if I could live a healthy, productive life into my older age, great. But most of us, that's not going to be the case. Most people, I mean, the average lifespan in America right now is what, 70 something? Seems like it used to be like 78 or 79 for women and like 74, 75 for men or something like that in America. Those numbers may have changed a little bit, but if that's truly the case, if, let's say, the average lifespan, let's just say let's say it's 80. Let's say the average lifespan's 80 years old for an American. Well, middle age would then be 40. And if it truly is, say, in the 70s, 75, 78 years old, whatever, well, then middle age gets down into your 30s. So when a person does get into their 50s, what would typically be considered middle age, sorry to bust your bubble, but you're well beyond middle age at that point. And when you just look at the typical progression of an adult person, there's exceptions, of course, and there's certainly more exceptions. I'll give you an example. So, as a travel, when I was doing a real job and I was a nurse in the ER, travel nursing and whatnot, when you're working in the South, and I'm from the South, y'all, like this is my home. But here in the South, buddy, we've grown up on Coca-Cola and biscuits and gravy. People in the South ain't as healthy as people in other parts of the country, okay? So your 70-year-old person here could very well be, in a nursing home or just in really rough shape. Whereas you go up to, I spent some time in Washington State up there in the Pacific Northwest. People up there tend to, it seems like anyway, the older people up there seem to be a little healthier. They're more active. They're out there in the mountains. The air's a little cleaner. They're eating a little cleaner. It's just different. You see that kind of people in California. You'll also see a lot of people in Florida. A lot of older people in Florida are people that maybe didn't grow up there. They've transplanted there. They've moved from other parts of the country, but it's people who are maybe they were a little bit more well off. They ate better. They took better care of themselves. So you'll see people down in Florida, hell, 80s and 90s still out there on the beach. They're active. They're doing stuff. Whereas you get somebody that's 80, 90 years old here in Tennessee, boy, they're in rough shape. I mean, there's exceptions. Don't get me wrong. There's exceptions. Some of you out there right now has probably got a grandma or grandpa that's 90 years old and still working the farm and smoking 2 packs of cigarettes every day and going strong. But that's the exception, not the rule. Most 80-year-olds here in my area, if they've lived long enough to reach 80, pretty rough shape. So, based on the fact I did grow up on Coca-Cola and biscuits and gravy, the likelihood of me living healthily into year 90 or year 100, very unlikely. So I would say I'm past the halfway mark. I'm past middle age at this point, much as it pains me to say it. And I don't even feel like I've lived that long yet. Honestly, I don't know where the time has gone. Like when you're a kid and you're on summer break between the school year or whatever, man, like when it's June, you feel like you've got all the time in the world before school starts back. There's so much free time. You can do whatever you want. But then something happens. You blink your eyes, you go to bed one night, you wake up, you're 40. Like, where the hell did the time go? What happened? How did I get this old? I don't know where it went, man. You get busy with life. Hell, we get busier talking. We're 95 feet deep. We got to drop these baits down, y'all. That's how it is. That's how it is. You get a little older, you get distracted. We go from being a kid and all that free time in the summer and whatnot, just do whatever we want. Then you hit your teenage years, and then all of a sudden, you've got distractions, right? You've hit puberty. Now all of a sudden you're into girls, you're chasing tail. You need money to chase them women with, so you got to get you a part-time job. For me, I worked at the Kmart when I was 16. And now all of a sudden, yeah, you're off school there, summer break, but hell, every day you're either working or you chasing some woman, and boy, time just gets away from you, and it just gets worse as you get older, because you get older, and now you've got maybe you go into some post-high school education, a vocational program, maybe a college, maybe you do the military, maybe you just jump right into the workforce. But either way, you're busy with that. Then you start a family, get a wife, maybe some kids. Maybe you're doing some other hobby activity, maybe church related, maybe some volunteer work, maybe you're fishing tournaments. I don't know. I mean, any number of things. But what ends up happening, I think, is we just get distracted. We get distracted from life, and next thing you know, you wake up and you're like, where the hell did the last 5 years go? Where'd the last 10 years go? Why do I have gray hair on the side of my head and no hair at all on the top of my head? Like, oh, we got something. Look right here. Something's chasing a bait right there on the surface. Right here beside us. He must have got him. That shad must have got. But it's like, man, you get a little older and you get busy. And it's almost like, yeah, you're living, but it's almost like you forget to live. Maybe that's not the right word. You forget to be present in the moment. You hear that a lot, right? Like, be present. What does that mean? I don't even really know what it means, but I think I know what it doesn't mean, and that's live like I've spent a bunch of my life where I'm always looking for the next thing, always working toward that, whatever the goal is, instead of trying to be appreciative of wherever I'm at right now. And there's some good to that. I mean, I do think we need goals in life. You need to be working towards something, whether it's personal goals, career goals, family goals, whatever. Like, you need to be striving to get better all the time. But I think sometimes, and I'll speak for myself here, that I get so tunnel vision focused on whatever it is I'm working toward that it distracts me from appreciating and taking some time to just be thankful from where I'm at the present time. You hear it all the time, like the destination. And I'm butcher. I don't even know exactly how the saying goes. You hear it various ways, but I think you know what I'm trying to say here. The destination isn't the real goal. It's the journey, right? It's the journey getting to where you're going. Because oftentimes when we accomplish a goal, pick anything you've accomplished, something that you set out to achieve and you've done it, something that was hard. Maybe it was getting through school, maybe it was getting that dream job, or maybe you like to fix classic cars and you've been working on it for years and you finally got that thing fixed up, right? It could be anything. But once you achieve that goal, isn't it always a little bit underwhelming? Again, I'm speaking for myself here, but it's like, I've hit some milestones in my life, things that were really important to me, or seemed really important to me at the time when I was working toward them. And then you get them, you achieve that goals. I'm dropping our baits now. We're 100 feet deep now. But you achieve that goal, and sure, maybe it's an adrenaline rush. You get that dopamine hit there in your brain. You get that for maybe a few minutes, maybe a few days, depending on whatever it is that you're accomplishing. What happens after that? It fades. It goes away like that, man. It's gone. And then you're on to the next thing. And so it's like if you work for 4 to 5 years to get that college degree, or you're doing a job and you're trying to climb the ladder to get in that management position, or the other example there, you're working on that classic car and you're out there in the garage every night and it takes you 2 or 3 years and you finally get it and you take it for that first drive. That first drive in that car you've built's amazing, right? That's the best drive of your life. What's the third drive, the fourth, the fifth time you take it out? What does that feel like? Is it still as satisfying and enjoyable as the first one? Or did it start to wane a little bit? Maybe by the 50th time you've taken that car out for a drive, are you still enjoying it as much? Probably not. Now again, I can't speak for everybody, but probably not. So it's like if you've sacrificed for 4+ years, you've put yourself in a ton of debt, maybe you've worked while you've went in school, you've given up a lot of sleepless nights studying and doing family stuff to get that college degree, and you walk across that stage, you get your diploma, you've graduated, you've got it. What an amazing feeling of accomplishment. But if that feeling of accomplishment lasts for a day or two, and it took 4 to 5 years of your life to get that feeling, is it worthwhile? I mean, maybe the college degree is a bad example, because if you end up getting better employment, better life, whatever, because of it, bad example maybe. But where I'm trying to go with that is like, if you can't enjoy the process of something that's going to take you 4 or 5, like if you're spending 4 or 5 years to get 2 days of elation or a dopamine hit in your brain, it ain't a good trade-off, is what I'm getting at. Like you're giving up too much of your life for a feeling of high that's only going to last for a short period of time. Like, you need to be able to enjoy the process, to enjoy the journey on the way. If you're enjoying every day as you're working toward whatever goal it is that you have, well, then you're going to be living a better life. You're going to be more present in that moment, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I look at my own life and how much of it, like where I am now, 44 years old, and I look back, I'm like, where the hell did it go? And I know where it went. Hell, I've spent. So, I mean, I went to school. I come out of high school. I go into college. I got to work. I mean, I'm not some trust fund kid. I'm not smart enough to get scholarships. Like, I had to work the whole time I was in college. And I spin my wheels there. And then I go to nursing school. I went to LPN school first. I couldn't get into RN program. And then you give up your time doing that. Then you come out in your workforce, and then you go back to school. So I go back to school again to become an RN, and again, you're working the whole time.
school, your study time. Like you've give up your whole life. And it's been like that throughout my life. There's been chunks of time that have just been dedicated to stuff that I've had to do, but I didn't necessarily want to do, right? Like, school was a grind. It wasn't something I didn't enjoy, getting up and going to school. I didn't enjoy writing that check on them student loan pay. I didn't enjoy any of that. It was something I felt like I had to do to get gainful employment. Now, as we've discussed on some other trips where we've got into life and times and whatnot, we were sold a lie, my generation was. College ain't as important 10 years ago, and especially today, as it was maybe 40 years ago when our parents grew up. But our parents always told us, don't be, at least my parents were anyway, like, don't be like us. Go to college, get a degree, get a good job. You don't want to end up like us, having to work these jobs where we're not appreciated and not compensated well. Like, go get you an education so that you can get a good job and not end up like us, right? That's what we were sold. That's what we were told we needed to do. Well, it turned out, you get to our generation now, these college degrees, I don't want to say they're a dime a dozen because they cost a hell of a lot more than a dime, but a ton of people have college degrees now. And employers don't give a damn. Businesses don't care. It's, what value can you bring to our company? We want to pay you less than the value you're providing to this company. How do you do that? And a college degree, it don't make you more valuable. Today, it's all about, we got some floating weeds here. Get your line out them weeds there, folks. We don't want all that mess around our line right there. There we go. But now it's about what skills you have. What do you bring to the table? And like, when I was in school, going up through high school and stuff, the kids who would go to like vocational programs, learn to work on cars, learn to weld, electrical stuff, vocational programs, they were thought of as dumb. They were thought less of. They weren't smart like those of us that was going to go to college, learning useless crap in a book that we're never going to be applicable in real life. And you fast forward to today, who's the dummy now? It's us. It's people like, no, maybe not necessarily people like me, because when I worked as a nurse, like to work as a nurse, you had to have graduated from an accredited program to be able to sit for the boards and get your nursing license. So you had to go to school to be able to do that. But a lot of people that got some random degree that didn't do anything for them, that doesn't provide them any skills, they're the dummies now, man. They're the dummies, because them people that went to the vocational school and learned a skill that they could monetize, that had some value to it, they're the ones with gainful employment now. They're the ones making bank, and they didn't take on a ton of debt in the process. Most of those vocational programs, they're 6 months, a year, maybe 2 years long. Maybe if you get an apprenticeship somewhere, maybe it's a little longer. But it ain't like going to a 4-year college institution. I mean, you're coming out with minimal to no debt at all, going to a trade school with a skill that's worth something, versus you go get a random college degree. Say you get a business degree. Yeah, you coming out, you got a little piece of paper that says you know something about business, but you ain't proved you know crap about business. You've never ran a business at that point. Plus, you've got tens of thousands of dollars, maybe more, in debt for your college program. Like, good luck with that. Hell of a way to start your life. tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and you ain't even got a guarantee of a job. You know what I'm saying? Like I promise, if you know how to work on a heat and air unit, you get some HVAC technician certification, I promise you're going to be able to find some work right now. This time of year, these hot summer months, somebody's air conditioning going out, they're going to pay you for your knowledge, okay? Whereas you get somebody with a random business degree that ain't actually ever ran a business before. If the economy's bad, businesses ain't hiring, they ain't going to give them some management position, folks. They ain't going to do it. They ain't going to give somebody fresh out of college, no experience, some management job. They're not going to do it. Whereas you get somebody fresh out of school, say that HVAC technician, I don't care what the economy is. If it's 100 degrees outside and somebody's air conditioning unit goes out, they going to find a way. They going to find a credit card. They going to call their uncle twice removed. Like, they're going to find a way to get that air conditioner fixed. So you got a valuable skill. You go to a vocational program and you come out, like, you've got a valuable skill. Whether you choose to work for somebody else or you choose to start your own business, you have something, a skill that's valuable that you can monetize. Whereas somebody with some random college degree, and God forbid you get something in the arts, right? I don't know, a degree in music, a degree in English or French literature or some crap like that, you know, like, what the hell are you going to do with that? Unless you can get a job teaching. But even then, okay, you want to be a teacher, right? Maybe you want to be an English teacher. Maybe you want to teach French literature somewhere. Who the hell's going to hire you for that? With your 4-year degree, who's going to hire you for that? Nobody. So now you got to stay in school longer. You're going to have to get a master's degree, maybe a PhD. Now you're wasting even more of your life in college, taking on even more debt, because college just gets more expensive the farther you go. You know, you've got community college prices. You can get an associate degree. Then you're going to go up to a 4-year institution. You're going to pay a little more. God forbid you go to some private school. I had to go, see, me, because I didn't have the smarts to get a scholarship, I had to go. I went to Lincoln Memorial University. That's where I got my nursing degree from. You know why I got in there? Because I could pay the damn bill. The nursing programs in the community colleges, man, I'd get, every time I'd apply, I'd get waitlisted. There'd be 100 people ahead of me on the wait list because I didn't have the grades or the smarts. Whereas a program like LMU, if you could pay the bill, they was going to let you in because a lot of people couldn't pay the bill. So, you know, I got the same damn education from Lincoln Memorial as I could have got from one of the community colleges in my area. But I had to pay several times more money than what I could have paid at community college if I'd got in for the same education. Do employers give a damn where my degree came from? Hell no. The only thing they care about is that license. Am I licensed? Yes. How do you get a license? You go to an accredited program. Those community colleges that were way cheaper were accredited programs. Like, you know, it's like, why pay more? Well, I had to. You know, but I mean, like, every level you go, whether it's community college, you're going to pay an amount. You go to a 4-year institution, you're going to pay a little bit more. You go to a private school, you're going to pay some more. You go get your master's degree, it's even more. PhD, it just keeps getting more and more and more expensive with no guarantee. Now, listen, when I come out with a nursing degree, I'll have a job the rest of my life. I mean, I don't work as a nurse anymore, but I keep my license active. I can go anywhere in the country at any time and get a job the rest of my life. I don't care what AI robots take over in the future. You're always going to need nurses. I will never be without work unless I choose to be. But a lot of these college degree programs, your humanities, your French literature, pick whatever. What the hell are you going to do with that? There's no guarantee of employment. And whatever job they do get, chances are they could have got without that degree. I mean, you know how many fast food workers there are right now? Or waitresses? And coffee shop baristas? You know how many of those people there are with college degrees right now? Folks, it's crazy. It's crazy how many overeducated coffee baristas there are. This is total. We were just sold lies, man. We were sold lies as a kid, and our parents, our teachers in school and stuff. Like they weren't purposely misleading us. They just didn't know any better. The world was changing, and they didn't realize it. And they were passing on old information to us. Information like, when you take my parents' generation, for instance, you did need a degree. You absolutely needed a degree back in those days if you really wanted to climb up in management and stuff like that. Like, it was more important back then in their day. And also, too, there wasn't as many people who was going the college route, because back in those days in America we had a lot of manufacturing jobs. We had places that would offer pensions. You know what I mean? Like, they would offer benefits where people could go to work in the factory building cars and be able to support a wife and 2 or 3 kids and a house payment and live a life. And all that crap went away. That crap started to go away. Those type of jobs started to disappear. Pensions started to disappear. Manufacturing starts getting moved overseas. So you needed an education to get some management job. And that's what our parents were seeing happening. They were seeing those type of jobs disappear in their generation. They're like, well, we need our kids need to go get an education so they don't have to go through what we're going through right now with all this downsizing and whatnot. They're going to be our bosses if we can get them an education. But that didn't last long, because everybody started doing that, and everybody suddenly had college degrees, and there just wasn't that many management jobs to go around. So then it became where we're at now, where it's pretty much skill based. It's, what do you bring to the table? And you going to college and spending 4 years studying management theory doesn't mean you actually know a damn thing about managing a particular business. So it's useless for the most part. It's absolutely useless. So anyway, I don't know how the hell we got on this topic, but that's my thoughts on it, in case you were wondering. And now, granted, I don't have any children. But you might be asking yourself, well, I wonder what Justin would tell his kids if he had any. You know what I'd tell him to do? Now, first of all, you might be saying, well, I wonder if Justin would tell his kids to be YouTubers. No, I probably wouldn't. I mean, first off, I wouldn't want, if I had kids, I wouldn't want them on YouTube. At a young age anyway. I would want them to wait until they were hopefully an emotionally mature adult before they took on such a venture. Now, if they wanted to do it at that point, I would certainly try to help them with whatever information I had. But going this route, the influencer route, man, you look at the percentages, man, who makes it and who don't. in the content game. It's a small number of people, buddy. All right, I think we got something happening here on our left line. I think we got a fish that's maybe picked up that bait. Similar situation as we had on that last one. I'm just waiting on that thing to go down, buddy. Take it, fish. Take that thing down. I know you got it. I can see my rod tip working right there. I'm getting impatient. I'm about to set that hook on him. He may have just dropped it in. No, our rod tip stood up again. We're coming up here. I'm gonna pick up on that thing. We'll set the hook on him. If he ain't gonna set the hook on himself, I'll do it on him, by gosh. Let me raise that other one up just a little bit as we're coming up out of this hole now. We've dropped all the way down. Now we've come out of it. 83 feet. Just wasn't nothing going on. I wasn't seeing nothing on the screen. Just wasn't nothing happening at the deeper depths. So we'll just keep making our way downriver, and we got another one on here. This fish, he might want some career advice from me too. I'm gonna give him an earful when he gets up here and tell you all what I think about it too. What I'd tell these kids that I ain't got. It's another fish right here that feels like it's got a little weight to it. It ain't fighting hard, but it feels like it's got some weight on it. I'm curious to see what we've got here. He's not fighting at all, but it is, I mean, I'm pulling up a little weight. It's weird. I mean, he really ain't fighting at all. Is he lassoed in the line, potentially? Is he foul hooked? The fact it ain't fighting at all leads me to believe we're going to have a time when we land him and get him unhooked, and he's going to go crazy in here. We should be seeing it pretty soon. I'm taking my time coming up from 80 plus feet here. Hoping to see some bubbles coming up soon. I mean, this isn't a fight at all. How weird. I see the fish there. Oh, we do have him. We've got him wrapped up. No, we've hooked him in the side. That's what's happened. He's rolled on that bait and got himself hooked in the side. He was foul hooked. That's why he felt heavier, because we're pulling him up sideways, and that's probably why he ain't fighting. Lord help us here. This fish is so dumb. This fish is like a type of person that goes to college and gets a degree in French literature or something. Come here, fish. Let's get you unhooked and send you home. You got you a belly button piercing. Set that over there a second. I ain't even laying hands on you, fish. I'm gonna try to send you out the net like that. Get on back down there. There he goes. He gone. Well, that was at least easy peasy. We didn't have to put hands on him. Let's grab us another shad, send this one back down, and I got to raise that other one up. We're up to 77 feet now. We're going to be dragging bottom with that other line if we ain't careful. Boy, this thing right here is slimed up, man. Slimed to the max, buddy. What the hell has happened here? We've got our line all wrapped up, and I can't see where it's wrapped at because of all the slime. How the hell did we get a dang... Did that fish tie... One of you all sabotaged me here. We've tied a knot in this thing somehow. I don't know how you've done it. It literally looks like you've tied a knot around the leader here. How did you do that? I don't even know how this has happened. Well, I know one thing though. I got to raise this line up or we're going to be snagged over here. We ain't got time for all this mess here when we doing this rapid depth change. I'm gonna have to cut this thing, I reckon. Dadgummit, man. I'm gonna have to cut it again. It's literally tied in a knot. I don't know how y'all do this to me. I swear you sabotage me just to make me look stupid on video. You don't have to work hard to make me look stupid, folks. I can do it my damn self all the time. Ain't no causing y'all being that way. I have legit got a knot here. Question is, can I cut it without actually cutting my leader? I'm a man of many talents, folks. This one of you, however you tied that knot, it's like one of them girls that can tie a knot in a cherry stem with her tongue. It's talent beyond my recognition. Goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. Now we got all this slime here too on this dang swivel. Let's try to get some of that slime out there with the hook point maybe. Goodness gracious. Okay, well, hell on. Now we're up to 68 feet here, so let's raise our bait up here again. Adjust our motor so we stay more in the river, or more in the middle. Okay, now I think we're ready to thread our sinker back through. What an ordeal that was. That fish really caused us some problems. Didn't even get hooked in the mouth. Technically, I guess we ain't supposed to score that as a catch, are we? Because he was foul hooked? I don't know. He wasn't a fight, that's for sure. He didn't pull at all. He just laid there as I pulled him up as slow as I could to keep him from not being able to go back down. Daggone fish. Then you all make me look like a complete idiot by tying that knot in it there. I don't know how that happened. It must have just looped around just right somehow. Impressive nonetheless. Like them girls that could tie a knot in a cherry stem with their tongue. Alright. Down it goes. We got this one ready to roll again. Let me spin that motor around. We're getting a little bit over here to the right again. All right, down it goes, 64 feet. I'm going to reel our other bait up and check it when we get this one set. And then we're going to finish our, I don't know how the hell we got on career advice here, but we're going to finish it out, by gosh. We've started it, we're going to finish it. I don't know if this even has bait on here or not. We must have got hit, didn't know about it, because I don't feel it. We don't have any bait on there. Well, I catch fish a lot of ways. I ain't gonna catch them with a bare hook, y'all. Be real helpful to have a piece of bait on there. Okay. Well, y'all, we've gotten just a fish here and a fish there on our way down through here. And kind of got them all at a variety of depths, so we haven't really, I don't feel like we've really learned anything to this point as far as picking up a pattern, but it is at least nice to get a few bites at these deeper depths, certainly deeper than what I've been able to catch them at home recently. But anyway, if I was given advice, if I had a kid and was given advice what they should do for work, or how to, basically you want one of two things. You either want them to do a job that they're going to enjoy and be able to make a living, provide the lifestyle they want, or you want them to be able to, if they're going to have to do a job they don't like, at least make as much money as possible, right? So first off, would I want them following my path? Well, as far as the nursing goes, it's not about, the job itself sucks. But it is a good paying job that you can get with a 2-year degree. You will always have work. You can work anywhere in the country. So there's stability that comes with that. We're in a nursing shortage right now. We've been in a nursing shortage for my entire career. I don't see it getting any better, especially with the aging population that we have. So there's always going to be opportunities for that. So if they had a desire to go into that kind of work, I would certainly encourage them to do so, or any healthcare related field, whether it's a nurse, a doctor, a respiratory therapist, physical therapist, those kind of jobs. They're just not going to be replaced by robots, folks. I'm sorry, they're just not. AI and technology is going to be utilized more in the healthcare industry as we move forward, but it's not going to replace those jobs. So there's stability in that. As far as the YouTube thing goes, I mean, if they wanted to do it and they were emotionally mature enough to handle the bullshit you got to handle when you're doing this in the public eye, I would help them with it. But I would also temper their expectations. The possibility for doing YouTube or content creation on a high level, it's doable, and I think it's possible for anybody. No matter what type of personality you are, no matter what kind of hobby, whatever it is you're filming, it's possible for anybody to make it. But it's also, while it's possible for anybody to do it, it's not likely that just anybody can do it. And it's not as easy as some people thinks it is. Like there's levels to this, like there is levels to anything else. And can you carve out a nice life for yourself doing this? Absolutely. Are you going to be the next Mr. Beast? Probably not. I mean, we're talking about a fish right here is what we're talking about. Boy, that's acting like a flathead, ain't it? Now he's going to take off. I mean, he was just kind of sitting there with it. And then he took off. I think it's going to end up being a blue. I think I just felt him roll. We're 66 feet here. He feels pretty good. And this feels like a decent fish. Of course, it's tough to gauge on this lighter gear, but I'm just sitting here. He's pulling. I'm holding steady. And we are what we are right now, y'all. It's a better quality fish. Yeah, he feels good. It's taken a while. What are we, about 2 hours into this trip? We've covered a fair amount of water. It's got us moving down river here, but 66 feet deep right now. We've drifted through that deep hole. We've come out. Now we've kind of leveled out again. The depth was still going to change down through here, but it's going to be a little bit more consistent now. It's not going to have the big fluctuations going from 60 down to 110 and then back up to 60. It's not going to be like that for this next little stretch here. But we are going to fluctuate a little bit, and we're going to have to adjust our baits up and down as need be. But this fish, he's down here behind this hole as we've come out, and wanted him a piece of that shad, I reckon. We may try a piece of that white bass or yellow bass next. Oh my gosh, he just come free. Did he break us off? What happened? He didn't break us off, he just come free. Well, poo-poo. I wonder if it was something like maybe he was he flesh hooked in the corner of the side of the mouth or something and just popped it? Because the hook's not bent or nothing. Looks good. Well, poo-poo. I tell you what, we've got this other piece of shad right here in the floor. Let's go ahead and do it, and then the next time we got to get in the cooler, we'll bust out either the white bass or yellow bass, whichever's on top right there. Poo-poo. I can't believe, I shouldn't have let you all reel in that fish. Every time I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to be nice, I'm going to let you reel one in. What happens? You find a way to lose it. That felt like a pretty good fish, and you all just totally botched it. I don't know why you even go fishing when you can't land one. You ought to be embarrassed for yourself. I'm embarrassed that I let you reel one. To this day, 44 years old, I've never lost a fish in my life, ever. Never. I don't know how many thousands of them I've caught, but I've never lost one. Once he's hooked, he's hooked. I'm a stone cold killer, buddy, when it comes to hooking fish. I've never lost one. But you all, on the other hand, the exact opposite. Every time I lose a fish on video, it's because I've let you reel one in. All right. But no, anyway, back to the previous conversation. Now that these fish are done interrupting, I'm going to bust out my glasses right quick, too. The sun is starting to put a little brightness on the water. I'm going to turn around and look behind us here, too. It's probably... Oh yeah, it's on up. I knew I felt it beating down on my neck. We missed, of course we couldn't see the sunrise anyway, but we missed it even popping up over the ridge. I was right in the middle of a story and not focused on the sun and the surroundings. But you know, if I had a kid interested in being a content creator and they were emotionally mature enough, or maybe it's one of you all out there that's thinking about doing it, I would certainly help them with it. And, you know, and I would encourage, you know, if they had a hobby or something they were good at and they were good on camera or good at explaining things, I mean, I would encourage them to at least try it. I mean, even if it never took off, if it never turned into a business even, I mean, even if it was just a hobby, maybe it could be a profitable hobby. Maybe whatever it was they were into that they were filming, they could earn a little scratch from the videos to be able to pay for the hobby itself. So, I mean, it can be worthwhile, but at the same time, too, I would also just temper their expectations. There's the Mr. Beast level that's, you know, multi-millionaire. Like, how many of those people are there? It's a small percentage. Now, sure, you could probably name off, if you're somebody that's really into YouTube videos and stuff, like, and follow a bunch of content creators, you could maybe name off 20 people, 50 people off the top of your head who's just killing it on there, right? But when you look at how many millions of people throughout the entire world are on the YouTube platform versus how many people get to that level, it's a very small percentage. I mean, the Mr. Beasts of the world, they're the 1% of the 1% of the 1%. I mean, I think I'd seen, and I don't know with 100% accuracy, because you know how stuff is on the internet. You don't know where these numbers come from, but like my channel here that I have, I'm in like the top 1% of YouTubers based on my earnings. And I can tell you, I'm nowhere near a Mr. Beast type level. It never will be, you know? So I look at what I make. If I'm in the top 1%, it's like, it's just a numbers game, man. The volume of people that's on there versus the volume of people who break out and make it for any length of time, let alone doing it long enough to call it a career, it's just very small. It's very unlikely. The percentages are against you. So while it's worthwhile to give it a shot and pursue it, I certainly wouldn't encourage a kid or even any of you to just put all your eggs in one basket. Now, listen, if you start out and you're doing it on like a part-time hobby type level, and then it starts to grow and starts to take off, and you're seeing some potential with it, well, that's different. Then it's worthwhile. Maybe take the chance, take the leap, and just go for it and see what happens. Because you've already, at that point, you've already proven that you've got something that's working. Whatever you're doing, whatever system you've got, whatever type of videos you're making, at that point, you're seeing like, okay, maybe you're making a couple $1,000s a month, $5,000 a month, and you're like, okay, this is working. If I can put more time into this and make more videos or do the same number of videos better, well, then maybe I can replace whatever job you have, So like, sure, at that point, but to just be like, you know what, I'm fresh out of high school, I don't want to do anything but skateboard at the local skate park, or maybe you're an established adult and you just got a job you hate, and you're like, you know what, I hate this job, I like playing checkers online against people, I'm just going to make a YouTube channel and do that. Well, that's a bit, I'm not saying it's foolish to make a YouTube channel around playing checkers online or skateboarding in the park. It's not foolish to do that, but it is a little bit naive to think that you're just going to jump all in right from the start and replace your current income or make a career out of it, like that's, and you know what the bad thing is, and some of you out there that are maybe more level-headed would hear me say that and be like, well, Justin, who the hell would do that? But you'd be surprised how many people do just that. They see another content creator, I'll give you an example. Old Ryan Bortz has been on my channel. He's been on here a long time. He don't fish no more. But you remember back 2 or 3 years ago, he saw me fishing. And, he thinks he's a better fisherman than me. And hell, maybe he is. He's beat me in a lot of tournaments. He's like, he sees me making videos. He's a better fisherman than me in his mind and whatnot. He's like, well, he can do that too. So he quits his job. He's going to be a YouTuber. His channel wasn't even monetized when he quit his job. He wasn't even making any money yet. He's going to do it, man. He's all in on it. Well, it didn't work out, and could it have worked out for him? Well, maybe, probably, possibly, but he went about it the wrong way. He should have done the channel, got it established, and then if it did take off and he starts making money from it, then maybe quit the job and go all in. But when you just go all in thinking, oh, this is what I'm going to do, and you don't have any money coming in, well, unless you've got a big nest egg, a big cushion to pull from, things are going to get hard, and they're going to get hard fast, and that's going to take attention away from what you need to be doing. So like in his case, he had to start focusing more on the tournaments. Because if he won a tournament, that was a guaranteed payday. Whereas he posted a video that wasn't guaranteed. And he done well. He done real well in tournaments. He's making a little money from that. But it ain't enough money to support yourself. And it's a one-time payday. It ain't like a YouTube video where, we come out here and we film today. This video is going to be on YouTube for the next several years. Now, it may not get a bunch of views over the next several years. It's probably going to get the bulk of its views in the first couple days. But it ain't going to get 0 views 6 months from now, a year from now. It's going to make a little bit. And so when you've done this for a long period of time, like I have now, and you've got 1,000+ videos on the channel, you get these older videos that some of them might make a few cents a day, some of them might make a quarter a day, some of them might make $1 a day. Not very much money on individual video, but you multiply that out by the number of videos on my channel, and those few cents here and there really starts to add up. And then you're constantly putting out new videos on top of that's getting a large number of views in a short period of time, and you can turn it into something. But when you got bills to pay and you don't have that catalog of videos, and in his case, channel wasn't even monetized when he started, it's like, boy, if things don't go absolutely perfect for you in that situation, you're in trouble. Like you're going to have money at some point coming in. And so for him, it was the tournaments. And he done really well in the tournaments, but there just wasn't much money to be had in those. And it's a one-time payday. So what do you do? And so he had ended up getting him a regular job again. So I see that, and I'm using him as an example because him and I are friends, and Lord knows I've talked the same crap to his face on video when he's been on the channel and stuff. So I'm not saying anything bad about him in particular. On one hand, you can admire the guy for having the guts to take the plunge. A lot of people never get off the couch to try. They dream, but they never try. They've got a bunch of ideas and a bunch of goals, and they never even take the first step to bring them into reality. So I will give him a ton of credit for going for it, for reaching for it, man. But the way he went about it, he needed everything to go right in order for it to happen. And I've seen that a lot through the years with people who really just, I don't want to say, I can look at a channel and say they have no chance of making it, because you never really know on YouTube who's going to make it and who. I certainly wouldn't have. If I had looked at myself, if there was a clone of me looking back at my channel 8 years ago, would I have ever been able to guess that I would be where I am today? Hell no. I wouldn't have bet on myself to win this game. Hell no. But yet here I am. So it's tough to look at somebody and be like, that person ain't going to make it. I can look at people now and look at their channels and be like, okay, that right there in this present time has no chance of being successful. Like, I'm at that point. Like, I can look at what somebody's doing and be like, what they're doing ain't working. That ain't going to work for them. They're never going to get it off the ground with that. But you can't look at that same person and be like, yeah, they're never going to make it. No. If they're willing to change and adapt and try different things and stick with it until they figure it out, well, maybe they will. Maybe they will get there. Maybe it's 2 years later, 5 years later, 8 years later. But if they stick with it, and when I say stick with it, I don't mean keep doing the same crap that ain't working. That's unfortunately another thing you see. You see these people, man, they're like, I've been doing YouTube for 5 years and I've been consistent. I've put out videos every week for 5 years straight and I just can't get traction. I can't get views. And you look at their channel and like, yeah, they have been consistent. They've been putting out videos every week for years at a time. But it's the same damn videos. It's the same type of videos that didn't work. It don't work today. It didn't work last year. It didn't work 5 years ago. But their dumbasses keep doing the same thing that don't work. It's like that old definition of insanity. Do the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. That's exactly what they're doing. They found something that didn't work, and they just keep doing it because that's what they want to do. That's their style of video. And there's a saying, starve an artist. You ever heard that before? Starve an artist? What that is it's people who, they like doing things, their art, whatever it is, their way, and they're going to do it their way. Everybody else be damned. Well, if their way of doing things ain't particularly appealing to the masses, they're going to starve. They ain't going to make no money on it. That's starve an artist. Well, you see the same thing on YouTube, man. You get these people, they're just hell-bent. They've got a certain way they like to do things. And listen, I do too. I have a certain way I like to do things. I like to do this style of video that you're seeing today. I like to get out here, just let the camera roll. Let's talk about whatever pops into my head, and let's reel in some fish and have some fun. This is the style of video, of all the styles of videos I've tried through the years, this is what I enjoy the most, okay? But if a month from now, YouTube just refuses to push this style of video, and I go from getting tens of thousands of views down to maybe 200 or 300 views, guess what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to make a decision. Do I just keep doing what I do for no money and find a different job? Or do I adapt with the times and change what I'm doing so YouTube will push the videos again, so that I will be more appealing to the algorithm? You got to change. Man, if you want to do something, you have to be flexible. And that ain't just true on YouTube. That's true in life, man. You got to be willing to adapt and change and do what you got to do to survive day by day. Now, I'll give you an example on my channel here. Just look at, some of you have been with me a long time. Some of you from the very start. Some of my channel members even. I mean, we started that channel membership, 4 or 5 years ago. I've got people that's been here from the get-go on that, still with me today. My channel's changed dramatically over the years, y'all. I mean, dramatically. I went from edited videos that were 10 minutes long, 15 minutes long. That worked. Got my channel going. And it kind of stalled, fizzled out a little bit. We're up to 43 feet here, by the way, now. I'm going to raise our baits up a little bit more. But that stalled, fizzled out. So then I started making a little bit longer edited videos. That was kind of the play at that point in time. Got my channel going again. It grew and grew and grew, and then it kind of plateaued, started to fizzle. Then YouTube started pushing the live streams. So I went all in on that. I'm doing the live streams in. My channel grew and grew and grew, and the live stream started to fizzle out, started to decline. Well, then YouTube was pushing the YouTube Shorts. They wanted to compete with TikTok. I went hard at that, created a second channel, blew up the second channel, man, grew it real big, real fast, just doing what YouTube wanted. Then the podcast thing kind of got big. YouTube wanted longer content, unscripted, unedited content. That's what they wanted. I went hard at that. 2024, my channel took another leg up, grew and grew and grew. Well, then it kind of plateaued, fizzled out. Now, here we are, 2026, this long video format, this podcast style. It's still okay. It ain't what it was at its peak, but it's still okay. But if the time comes that it just completely bottoms out, well, guess what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to adapt and go on to the next thing. Now, what is the next thing? I don't know. I don't know what the next thing is. But when I see it, hopefully I'll see it, I'll try it. And if it works, I'll try it again, and I'll keep doing it. And I'll keep doing it over and over and over again until it stops working, and then move on to the next thing. And that's the thing that people just don't do. You see these channels that either can't get off the ground, or you see channels that did get some traction and they did do well, and then that format stopped working for them, but they kept doing it, and now their channels, they went from getting tons of views down to nothing. They just wrote it into the ground. They never adapted. And I give people who are, you get these channels that are, people that are new, that never had traction, like, I'll give them a little bit more grace, because they just don't know any better. They're doing the style of video that they maybe like, or maybe they think is good. They've probably got a few viewers, people in their comment box telling them they're great and to keep doing it, which is the kiss of death, man. You start taking that praise in your comment box, you're going to keep doing what's getting you that praise. And there's times when that can hold you back. Yeah, that handful of people that comment may really like what you're doing, but they may be the minority. There may be a great big audience out there for you that you're never going to find, because you're going to keep catering to that small group of people who's kissing your ass. You got to be willing to try things. But I give people who've never gotten any real traction on YouTube, I give them a little bit more grace, because they don't know what they don't know. But when you have an established channel who has done well, at least at one point in time, and it stops working, and yet they keep doing the same thing, like, they should know better. They've been in the game long enough. They should know better. So I don't understand people like that, But the most important thing is, and this is something, if I had kids, or if I was talking to you or your kids right now, this right here, this lesson, this ain't just a lesson in YouTube or career. This is a lesson in life. This is one of the few things that I know with 100. I don't know a lot, folks. I don't know a lot about much, but I know a few things with 100% certainty. And one of those things is this: if you want to be successful in any avenue of life, you have to be adaptable to your surroundings and your situation. You have to be flexible. Again, that's not career advice, that's life advice. The people who are the most successful in life, look at all of them. They are willing to adapt. If they hit a roadblock, they find a way to go around it. They just keep moving forward. Always. They don't get stuck. If they run into problems, they figure out a solution. They just keep moving forward. You have to be willing to adapt. And I'll give you another example in my own life. This is one of the things that I realized pretty early on in my nursing career. When I was out of school, well, again, I went to school twice, but when I got out of school the second time and became an RN, I was working in the emergency department at home, regular staff job, ER. Oh, we got a rod here on the left rod going down. That's a slow pull. He's still on it. Nope. He let it go then. Let me let it sit there for a second, see if he'll come back for it, or did I spook him when I went to set the hook? Must have spooked him. Let me reel that bait up and see what it looks like now. We got another head bait here in the floor. We may go ahead and put on if this one's... Yeah, let's go ahead and switch this head bait out with the fresher one here, and it's still on the floor. But yeah, let me tell you this. So when I was working at home before I started travel nursing, to be a travel nurse, you have to have experience in a particular specialty to travel. You're not going to take just somebody fresh out of school or somebody with no experience in a particular specialty and put them in a travel nurse job where you're going to get about 1 day of orientation and be expected to function, right? So you got to get some experience. So I was working at home, I was working in the emergency department hospital there, St. Mary's at the time, but it's gone. It changed ownership and then they eventually shut it down. It's in a bad part of town. But anyway, just my nature, I'm a people watcher. Like, I'll observe people, not in a creepy way, but I guess it kind of is creepy. But I just like to watch people interact with others and just see, like, what works for them, what doesn't, what makes them tick, like, what's their motivations for doing things a certain way, right? And so, as a people watcher, I can oftentimes spot activities and behaviors and stuff that either bond people together or completely alienate people. And so when I'm up there, I'm working as a staff nurse there at the hospital. We were short-staffed all the time, as it was a shitty neighborhood at a shitty hospital, and you couldn't retain any, you couldn't get any staff, and you couldn't retain the staff that you had. So they had to bring in some travel nurses. That was my first introduction into travel nursing, was meeting the travelers that came in to work at the hospital I was at. And I spotted very quickly some patterns of who was successful and who wasn't. And one of the things I realized instantly was that it wasn't about who the best nurse was. Being the better nurse, more skilled, more knowledgeable nurse, didn't ensure success. What ensured success at that particular travel nurse contract they were doing was going to be determined by how well they could fit into the culture. How could they adapt to our environment? And now you can't be a total idiot and work in the ER, okay? Like you can't be just a dunce. Like you gotta have some smarts about you. But I mean, clearly, nursing's like anything else in life. There are some people who are way better at it and way smarter than others. Doesn't necessarily mean the person who isn't as intelligent or as good at it is bad, but there's people who are clearly better, right? I mean, you've experienced that in your own life. You go get your hair cut. Some people that cut hair's better at it than others, right? You've had better experiences with different people, right? It's the same way in all career fields. But what I realized was that the travel nurses who came in to our department and were laid back, easy to get along with, didn't question anything, they just went with the flow, those people were going to make it, despite their or knowledge or skill level, whatever. They were going to make it. There were other nurses that came in who, and I think of one off the top of my head, and I still remember. She was probably one of the best nurses I ever worked with. Extremely intelligent, very efficient, could work very quickly. Like, I mean, she was a very good nurse from a skill level perspective. But everybody hated her because she was so much of a pain in the ass to work with, because she questioned everything. Like, she would come in and she'd be like, I can't think of necessarily a specific example, but maybe it's setting up a drip of some kind, some medication. And she would come out and make a big scene at the desk and be like, why do you all do things this way? Like, where I come from before, we did it like this. And she had this way about it. It was like, it wasn't even like she was questioning it in a genuine curiosity way. It was kind of condescending. It was in a condescending way, like where she had come from was better than what we are today or there, And that just kind of turned everybody off, and it made everybody be like, well, bitch, just go back where you came from if it's so much better there. Nobody wanted to work with her. And listen, when you're in that kind of environment, I don't care how good a nurse you are, you're going to need help. Like, there are going to be days where you're just busy as hell. You've got multiple patients that are sick as hell at the same time, and you need help. That happens. Maybe you got 2 patients trying to die at the same time, or whatever. You know, like, there's just going to be times as an ER nurse where you need help. Well, guess what? If you're somebody that everybody likes and gets along with and wants to be there with, you're going to get help. Whereas that person that's an asshole and is kind of better than everybody else, if you will, we're going to just sit back and watch you flounder. Now, we're not going to let the patient obviously comes first, and we're going to do whatever we can for the patients. But at the same time, too, we're not going to do that nurse any favors. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to. If you got 2 nurses needing help at the same time, and you got a minute that you can help one of them, who are you going to pick? The one you get along with, or the one you don't? And it's been amazing to me throughout my travel nursing career. There's a lesson I learned, and I applied that throughout my own career when I began traveling. So I worked at home, I got my 2 years experience, and I started traveling. So I traveled for a decade before this YouTube channel got to where I could do this for a living. And so I would go in, and I worked a lot of different places. I worked with a lot of different travel nurses. I saw it time and time and time again. The people who would go in and just fit in. And listen, there were times, man, I worked at some hospitals where I questioned some things too. I'm like, why in the hell would they do it like this? Like, there's just some hospitals, some facilities have better processes than others. Okay, it's like that, and it's like that in any industry. I don't care what industry you work in. You could be a truck driver, a factory worker, whatever it is that you do. I promise, if you went to 10 different businesses and saw how they do things, even though you're in the same industry, there's going to be 2 or 3 of them that maybe does things way better or way more efficiently than the others. Okay, it's the same way in hospitals. But at the same time, too, I would recognize that and be like, why the hell are they doing it like this? But I wouldn't say it out loud. I would say it in my head. And even though it might be an inconvenience or it might not make sense, it's how they done things. It's their culture there. So I would just roll with it. In my mind, I might question it. I might scoff at it, but I would just do it. Just suck it up and do it. Just put your head down, go to work, and smile. Smile. Smiling is so important. Nobody wants to work with somebody that don't smile and don't joke around. And you need to get your work done, of course, but you need to be somebody that's can get along with others. Okay? And that's hard for me. That's hard. I'm an introverted person. I don't really like people all that much. That was hard for me. I would be exhausted getting off work oftentimes, not necessarily from the physical part of the job, although it was, I mean, you're on your feet a lot. And as a nurse in the ER, you're on your feet for 12 hours, man. You're on the run all the time. But there would be a lot of days where I would just be exhausted from the mental part of it because of having to interact with people oftentimes that I didn't like or didn't want to be around, but just having to suck it up and try to be as pleasant a person as I could be. That was exhausting to me as an introverted person. But I did it because that's a means of survival, because I knew at some point in time throughout my contract there on that job, I was going to need help. I don't care how good a nurse you are, how efficient you are, there's going to come a time where you've got 2 patients sick as hell at the same time, and oftentimes, hell, you might have all 4 of your patients sick as hell at the same time, that you're just going to need help. Maybe you're not even in that situation. Maybe you're just having an off night. You know, I was always pretty good at getting IVs, even if you get some elderly, frail person that's went through a bunch of chemo treatments, their veins are fried. I was always pretty damn good at being able to stick, but occasionally you would have that rare day where you just couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, you know, and like sometimes you just need to tap out and be like, go out to the desk and get one of your coworkers and be like, man, is there something I can do for you? Because I need your help. I need you to do this for me because I just suck tonight. You know, like, you have to do that from time to time. Well, if you're somebody that's liked and they're getting along with you and they're happy you're there, they're going to be more inclined to do that for you. Whereas the person, and I worked with a bunch of them, man. I worked with nurses better than me that got run out, get their contracts canceled, or people would just treat them so bad that eventually quit. And it's all because of the attitude. It wasn't because of their skill level. It's because of their attitude. And so that's a piece of advice I'd give you. I'd give your kids. I'd give my kids if I had them. I'd give anybody. It ain't just about how good you are at something. You got to be able to adapt to whatever environment, whatever culture you're in. And that is applicable in so many different ways in life. We discussed it with the YouTube. If you've got a video concept, format, whatever it is you're doing, if it's not getting you views, you can't just keep doing the same crap over and over. Like, you've got to change and adapt to fit the YouTube environment. The YouTube environment today, way different than it was 5 years ago, and for damn sure different than it was 10 years ago. It changes all the time. You got to change with it. It's the same thing at your particular job. It's the same thing at whatever activities you do in your life. Things are always changing. Change with them. Be flexible, be adaptable. You will succeed. You need skills. You need to be good at what you're doing. You need to be better at what you're doing than what I'm doing out here today, because we can't hardly catch fish, you know. But, like, you need to have some competence. But just because a person may be the best at something, don't mean they're going to have the best experience wherever they're doing it at. Because if they've got a piss poor attitude, or they're not willing to adapt to the culture or be flexible, they're going to get run out. I was fortunate that early on in my career, before I ever started travel nursing, I saw them other travelers come in and I watched them, and I was like, okay, this person maybe isn't as good a nurse as this person, but we all love this person. We all want to work with them. We come in and we see we're on a team with this person, right? We're like, yes. We come in and we see the other nurse who's maybe more skilled, but they're an asshole. We're like, damn, I got to work with this, you know what, tonight? Like, you know, and it's just like that so many different places in life. I spotted that, and I've seen it so many times since then. And I've used it, man. I've used it to my advantage. There's been so many times where I've, you know, and part of it too, one of the things that helped me, even though I'm a bit introverted and can be socially awkward at times, I will admit, one of the things that helped me fit in and adapt was the fact I'm a man. Like, I don't, that's one of them things you just have to be honest with yourself about. Like, when you're a man in a woman-dominated industry, because, like, as a travel nurse, when a hospital brings on a travel nurse, they're bringing in travelers because they're short-staffed, right? Like, they're not paying a premium for travel nurses just because. There's a reason. Like, that facility you're going to, it ain't sunshine and rainbows. They've got a staffing problem for a reason. And it's usually, by the time they decide they're going to bring in travel nurses, they've got a major staffing problem. It ain't like, okay, you know, this person's quit, or whatever, maybe we should just go ahead and get one nurse. No, they let a couple people quit. They run the rest of the staff into the ground, either talking them into working a bunch of overtime so they burn out, or they just work them short-handed so they end up just hating the job, and then some more people quit. And the next thing you know, you've got this big staffing crisis going on, right? So by the time the hospital finally acts to do something about it, they have to bring in several travel nurses at one time. So oftentimes when I would go to these facilities, they would bring in me and a few other nurses all at once, right? They'd bring us on board at the same time. We'd go through all the same. We'd be there at HR, do the paperwork crap, get our badges all at the same time. We'd all have our orientation day, and boom, we're ready to go, right? So, most of the time, I would be working with predominantly women. I mean, the nursing profession is a female-dominated industry, right? So, like, honestly, it was great being a man in a young woman-dominated industry, let me tell you. But, like, I would go into these places and be starting with other women. And when you go into a hospital as a travel nurse, like, you're going into their environment, their culture, right? Like, that's their home. It's like you walking in to someone else's house. Like, that's their home. You hope they're going to welcome you in, but you're going into a place that ain't yours. It ain't your people. It ain't your culture. It ain't your house, right? Well, women, just by their nature, women are, and I'm going to insult the 10% of my audience that is women. Maybe some of you fellas, girlfriends or wives that's being subjected to this right now. Women can be a little bit catty, though, toward each other. There's a lot of jealousy amongst women, especially if another woman's coming in who's maybe a little bit more dominant, maybe a little better looking, maybe a little bit more skilled. Women are a little bit more catty toward each other in that situation. And as travel nurses, there was always a little bit of that going on, regardless of the type of nurse coming in, because as travelers, we were getting paid a premium to be there, right? Like, that's the perk of the job as a travel nurse, is you make more money. You're traveling away from home. You're going into a lousy environment. You're going to get paid a premium for that. Well, the nurses who have been dealing with the hell they've been going through there because they don't have any staff to work with and don't have the right resources, there's going to be a little animosity oftentimes because, you know, they've been put through the ringer by the administration at the hospital and can't even get a pat on the back, let alone a raise. But meanwhile, the hospital somehow has all this money to bring in travel nurses who are going to get paid more and have less responsibility. So there's some built-in animosity as soon as you walk in on day one. Now you throw in the fact that you've got other women coming into a woman-dominated environment, some of which who may be better looking or more skilled or just more alpha, more dominant, more confident, if you will. I mean, you have to have, if you're going to be a travel nurse and survive, hell, if you're just going to work critical care, I don't care if you're working ER, ICU, whatever, there's a personality that it takes to survive in that world. Like, you have to be confident in yourself. You got to be a little bit of a type A personality anyway. So I would watch these female nurses go in with me, and me being a man, for some reason, women they were just never, and I watched it too, like when I would start these jobs where other men would come in at the same time, maybe other, male travelers and stuff. we just fit in so much easier. Like it's almost like we were no threat to them. I mean, sure, there was still some of that animosity from the financial part of it, but like, they weren't as catty to us as they were the other women. Like even the other nurses who were flexible and adaptable and like, you know, willing to fit into the culture, who would make an honest effort to fit in with the other staff, it would take them longer for the staff to warm up to them than what it would for me or any of the other men who would start, because there's some level of cattiness amongst women that they're just going to attack each other. So I will admit it was easier for me working in that environment than another female going in that same environment. I was going to be more likely to fit in right away. I was going to be more likely to get help. And it almost seemed too like even once other people did, other nurses, female nurses, would kind of fit into the culture, like there was always a little bit of, not standoffishness, but just, it's almost like the other, they were just waiting on her to screw up so that they'd have a chance, a reason to turn on her, you know. And I would see that like when your contract would be ready to expire and the hospital is still short-staffed, they'd oftentimes ask you to extend your contract. And I did. There were several places I did extend at if I was, you know, fitting in the area and, you know, liking the drive or whatever and the environment. I mean, it was some places more tolerable than others, so there were times I did extend. But even then, I would notice like there would be times where you would have a few of us, our contracts expiring around the same time, and I would look at who got extension offers and who didn't, or who got offered first. And I'd be like, well, this girl over here, like, you know, I've worked with her now for 3 months. Most contracts are 13 weeks, 3 months. Like, I've worked with her 3 months. She's better at this than I am. Why did I get an extension offer and she didn't? Well, part of it, I think, is just because I was a man, you know, and there was just no threat from me with the other girls there, whereas maybe this other female, another female coming into this female-dominated environment, that she was a threat. And so, you know, that's part of it too. But like, you know, we're off on topic here. I could just ramble on about the how women are with each other. You know, and this is popping in my. This is totally non-fishing related. We're off in the weeds today, man. We're I don't know what's got us on this today, but we're just out here not catching fish right now. This drift down through here hasn't been as nearly as productive as I had hoped, and we're just having one of them days. This is real fishing, man. So the conversation's just going to go where it goes. But now I'm thinking about how women are toward each other, and it's got me thinking about something else, so we're going to go into that here. So let's rebait, and then I'm going to tell you something else I've noticed about how women are with each other. This might be an interesting observation for some of you fellas out there that maybe don't work with women all the time. Maybe you only deal with your wife or girlfriend or whatever and don't really see women interacting with each other. Me, I've had a front row seat to women interacting with each other for years. So it's funny how they are. They would say the same thing about us. Let's put if I can cut this damn thing. Let's cut this yellow bass. Let's spruce up our baits. I'm gonna put this yellow bass head on and another shad body piece. Where's my other? That bag there is the one we used yesterday. I ended up fishing a little while longer after the camera battery died, but I still had some bait left in there when I left. But this one here's the other bag that we hadn't dipped into yesterday. So I went out 2 days ago and got enough bait for a couple trips. Okay. Let's see how that yellow bass will do for us. Okay. As we make our way along, and we're 34 feet deep now, by the way. Let's get this one on. We'll switch out our body section, and we'll just keep drifting along for another hour here and hopefully run into some. I will admit, though, I'm disappointed. This was a long drive to be not catching any more fish than we're currently catching today. We've got what? I mean, we've got the trifecta. We got a blue, a flathead, and a channel. But the flathead was real small. The channel I could care less about catching. The blues have been few and far in between. Y'all lost the biggest fish we hooked of the day. So we've not had the most productive session out here, especially for the length of drive that I had to do to get down here and we'll have to do to get home. If I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning, which is early even for me, I want to have a better day than what we've had out here this morning. But anyway, let's get this bait dropped down and get back on the move here. Well, we never stop moving, but you know what I mean. But here's another observation about women. And I've seen this firsthand numerous times. So I know it ain't like an isolated incident. But this is how women are with each other. And it's the damnedest thing. So let's say you've got, and it's funny, they're like this with men too. they're such a unique species. So let's say you got 3 women that are feuding with each other. You got 3 women. Each of them none of them like each other, right? And as a man working with all these women, I oftentimes found myself to be like Switzerland. I was neutral. So all of these women who hate each other would oftentimes, for some reason, feel compelled to talk to me about how they hate the other, right? And I guess because, again, as a man, I'm no threat to them and their environment. I'm kind of neutral. I'm Switzerland. They can come to me and vent, whereas they can't with some of the other girls there because of the various cliques and factions and stuff that happen when you have a bunch of women working together. And so as Switzerland, I would notice these various parties conflicting with each other. And what would happen every time you would have 3 women that had a beef with each other? Maybe it was, I'm trying to think of some examples here of things that they would actually feud. I mean, you would have this animosity, right? Just personality conflicts, like they'd smile at each other's face, but hate each other behind their back. And that would just kind of stew under the surface for a while. And then every once in a while, there would be a situation come up where they would have to actively feud with each other, right? So an example might be maybe a promotion comes available. Maybe there's a charge nurse position or a assistant director position, something like that, where you've got maybe 2 or 3 nurses all wanting that same position, and all 3 kind of hate each other. So you'd have a little feud going on because one of those is about to get something that the other ones aren't. It never failed in those situations. There would be 2 women that would team up to take out the other one. Now, even though they all 3 hate each other, two of them are going to put their differences aside briefly to go after the other woman, right? Like they're going to band together. And I guess that's true across the board. What's the old saying? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. But even though it might be to their own detriment, like you would see a situation like there's one assistant director job open and three of them going for it. They all three need to plead their own case, pitch themselves, but it never worked out that way. You would have two team up to make sure that the third one wasn't going to get it. And even though that might be to the other two's own detriment, they just couldn't fight their own battles, man. It was going to be a team effort, one way or another. Now, God forbid there was a man involved. Now, that's the one area where you were going to have problems with these women. Now, it wasn't my issue because as a travel nurse, like I wasn't going to be in any kind of role like that. I was a worker bee, and that was all I was going to be for my 13 weeks. But if it was a three-way fight for a promotion of some sort, some kind of pay raise, some management position, something that they wanted, I don't care if the man, maybe he got along with both women. Maybe they both liked him and they hated each other. In that one scenario, you were guaranteed the women were always going to team up against the man in that situation. Like you could go in and fit in and everything be cool, but in that one situation where there's a man that's going to maybe get in a position of power over them, God almighty, watch them take him down. Like they could be bitter enemies, hate each other's guts. They would come together to try to take out that man who they maybe both got along with prior to that. Fascinating to just sit back and watch. That was one of the things that I always appreciated about the travel nursing part of things, because I would go in and yes, I worked there while I was on contract, but even though I was working at that hospital, I didn't work for that hospital, if you know what I mean. Like, I was an employee there while I was there, but I wasn't really an employee. Like, I didn't have to do the mandatory in-services. I didn't have to do the mandatory staff meetings. Like, there was just all this crap I didn't have to do, stuff I wasn't responsible for as a travel nurse that the regular staff would have to do. That was one of the things I loved the most, man. When I started travel nursing, because when I was at home working as a staff nurse, man, every month I'd get off. I was working night shift when I was fresh out of school there. Every month there'd be some damn mandatory staff meeting, and I'd get off work 7 a.m. ready to go to bed because I've worked my ass off all night long, and I'd have to stay over till 8 or 8:30 when this staff meeting would start and pretend I give a shit about whatever manager that was up there talking that didn't have a clue what we were going through, because they're in an office while we're out there in the thick of it, you know. You had to do that crap all the time. And then you had to do all these in-services. Then they wanted you to be on committees. You had to be on one committee and head up another committee as a way to try to improve the environment that you're working in there. And you had to do all that. You had to jump through all them hoops so that hopefully at the end of the year, whatever raise that your department had been approved for, 1%, 2%, as about as much as we ever got, which was always calculated too, by the way, on your base pay. Like, you would have your base pay, and then if you worked night shift, you would get a few dollars more. If you worked weekends, you'd get a few dollars more. So, like, when I was out of school there, I was working night shift weekends. Well, you get your little measly 1 or 2% raise, and it's on your base pay. So you ain't even really getting a full 1 or 2%. You ain't, because your shift diffs aren't being calculated in. But you would have to do all that crap. Go to the mandatory staff meetings, do the mandatory in-services, take time out of your off days to go up there and participate in a committee meeting, and then start your own committee for something that you want to change or improve in the department, and to get nothing for it, to get a few dollars extra per year. That was one of the best things that happened when I left that to go be a traveler. Like, I didn't have to do any of that anymore. I could just watch whatever hospital I was at. I could watch that going on with those people and be like, peace out, y'all. Quitting time. I'm out. Y'all enjoy that meeting. I'll see you tomorrow. That type of thing, man. Like, it was just so stupid that you have to do that. And it's like these administrative types, like they wanted these committees, you know, they wanted us to, I saw this, they would put this in like the break room and the bathrooms and stuff, the employee bathrooms. They oftentimes put up these signs, and I saw it in multiple facilities, where they wanted us to be an owner, not a renter. That was the thing, right? Like, if you own something, you're more likely to take care of it than if you're renting something, right? And so they wanted all the staff to be owners instead of renters. And I'm like, what a crock of BS that is. If you want us to be owners, how about you give us some ownership stake? Give us a little equity. You ain't going to do that, though, are you? Hell no. They ain't going to do that. They ain't even going to give you that 2% raise unless you go to all them damn meetings, and they make so many meetings and so many in-services, and they time them at such a terrible point in the day around your shift and stuff. They know that you're either not going to do it, or you're going to have to miss a few, and then they're going to have an easy way to dock you on that raise. Oh, Justin, I'm sorry, we're giving 2% raises this year, but you didn't meet the in-service requirements, so I can only give you 1%. Yeah, I didn't have to deal with that anymore as a traveler. And as far as the committee BS goes, you want to know what's going to help every environment out there? And this is, I guarantee you may not work in healthcare. You may pick any industry that you may be working in right now. I guarantee you I can fix the problems at your work. Whatever issues you got going on at your current workplace, I guarantee you, if management there would take my advice I'm about to lay on you, it would fix all your problems. But in this instance, I'll speak on what I know for sure, which is working in the ER. You know what's the number one thing that would fix the problems of working in the ERs right now? It ain't money. I mean, sure, we all want to make more money. Everybody does. But when people quit, yeah, they might take another job that pays a little more across town. But that ain't what got them to quitting. That's not what led them to that point that they were willing to go take time out of their day and apply and interview at other jobs and be willing to leave the environment they know. As this rod on the right over here, got a little tap. But when you get down to it, though, most of the time when people quit, even if they take another job that does pay more, that's not why they're leaving. They're leaving because the environment sucks. They're leaving because there's no damn staff. Every ER I've ever been in, periodically, would bring in a organization. Again, they ain't got no money to give staff raises or get you newer, better functioning equipment. They've got no money for that. But they've got money to pay these outside consulting firms to come in, and they'll call them lean projects. They come in to your facility and just stand around and watch and ask people questions and try to figure out, like, how many staff can we eliminate? How many people, like, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're down to, you've got X number of patients in the ER. Well, we can technically get by on less nurses. So let's make people go home. Let's send people home. It's called lean. I forget what it stands for, but it's there's something, but it's about slimming down the staff to basically a skeleton crew to get by on as little as you possibly can. And when you do that, what happens is everybody gets overworked. because undoubtedly you're going to start scheduling less people anyway. So then you're going to have nights where it's super busy and you're technically fully staffed, quote unquote, but you don't have enough staff, right? So you run your employees in the ground. And then you're going to have people who they're working 36 hours a week, 40 hours a week. That's what they're budgeted for, right? I mean, most people, let's face it, most people are paycheck to paycheck, right? They're counting on that money. They're counting on whatever income they're coming from their weekly paycheck. And all of a sudden, because maybe it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you've got less patients there than you expected on that particular night, well, we got to send some people home. So now those people that was counting on getting 36, 40 hours, whatever it is this week, well, now they're getting shortchanged 5 or 6 hours. Now they can't pay their bills. And they're like, well, screw this. I got to go somewhere else. Even if I can't get more money somewhere else, I'm going to go somewhere where I can guarantee my hours. And then you send those people home. You send them home early because, again, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. You don't have as many patients there as you're expecting. So you send some people home. You got less staff now, and all of a sudden a fight breaks out over here and you got multiple gunshot victims coming in, and now you went from having just enough staff, but yet technically too many per management, and now you don't have enough, and now you're just getting overwhelmed. And it's not only bad for the staff who's working there, but it's bad on the patients too, because they don't have the proper resources they need to be taken care of in the best manner possible. And so that's why people quit. It all comes down to staffing. It's just like, staffing should be one of those things. It should be a priority. Adequately staff. I promise you, man, I've seen it with my own eyes. That is the number one reason people quit. It's not money. It's not even working environment, man. There were some times, some hospitals I worked at. I mean, there was one in particular. It was a shithole, man. And they would pile extra patients. It was Georgia. And Georgia, the culture in Georgia, every place I worked in Georgia, and I don't want to say it like it's reflective of the whole state, but like, of the places that I did work at in Georgia, the culture there was, let's pile a fifth patient. Most ERs, you've got a 4-to-1 ratio, 4 patients per 1 nurse. Now, if you're in a state with labor laws like California, it might be 2 patients per 1 nurse, depending on their acuity level. But in Georgia, man, when I worked down there, like, they would want to pile a 5th patient on you, you know, and so you run your ass off all night long, because, I mean, 4's enough, especially if they're real sick, you know. But there was one place in particular, like, the environment sucked, man. But the crew that I worked with, everybody, we just clicked well. Man, it was just one of those environments where you just clicked. And it was a real team environment, and everybody liked being on the team. And so when it come time for my contract, I ended up extending there multiple times. I could have went on and got better jobs, better conditions, maybe even better pay at the time. But I had stayed because it was a good crew of people that I was working with. And again, that's the thing that you see. That's the thing you see across the board. And I'm sure it's the same, whatever your perspective, your respective job is, whatever career field you're in. The number one thing I promise you that's going to get people to quit in your particular industry is being overworked, understaffed, and just underappreciated, you know. There's nothing more insulting. They used to do that when I worked here at home. And of course we had to bring in travel nurses because we were so short-staffed. And why are we not moving? I feel like we're just sitting still. Are we actually moving? It says we're moving. I feel like we're barely moving right now, but I guess we are. One of the things that was just people in offices making decisions. I remember this one time in particular, they had one of our staff meetings. And management come in, we had our ER director and then like the chief nursing officer of the hospital, like, you know, the higher ups, suits. Because the chief nursing officer in the hospital ain't been a nurse in forever. Like, they couldn't function if they had to. They're just corporate at that point. But they're down there and they want to know, the core group of us there, what do we need? What's gonna, because everybody was quitting, man. Everybody was just over it. We were already using travelers. The few staff we had left was quitting. Like, what can they do? And every one of us said the same damn thing. We need staff, more staff, continuity, hire people, give us the resources we need. You know, don't do this lean crap where you're sending people home. Like, if somebody's scheduled 36 hours, they need 36 hours. Like, don't take that one random night this week where for some reason between the hours of 10 p.m. and 12 p.m. you might average a certain number of patients and we're 5 off, and so you're like, well, let's just send this person home, and then everybody else after that gets slammed when the next wave of patient comes in. It's like, no, just give us staff and let us be. And you know what they decided out of all that was? You know what they decided? Somebody in that office, bright idea was, well, you know what? You all have been working extra hard and, you know, all this. We're gonna get you pizza one night. Pizza. Now keep in mind, we're working in the ER, okay? We don't get lunch breaks. Yeah, you're going to get docked your 30 minutes. Technically, you're supposed to get 30 minutes off the floor, out of the department, to go take a break. You can't do that when you're short-staffed. You can't. There's nobody to watch your patients. You can't leave. So, dinner for us was finding something, finger food, that we could eat at the desk. And granted, you're not supposed to eat at the desk, right? You're not supposed to eat or drink. That's policy. You can't do that. Well, you had to survive. You wasn't going to dehydrate yourself for 12 stinking hours and not eat anything. Like, I'd bring peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You sit there because it's a finger food, didn't need refrigeration. I could keep it in my backpack under the desk, and when I got a minute or so, take a bite, right? Management gets the bright, we're gonna give you all pizza. Pizza. They ain't got time to eat it. You can't go back there in the break room and get it. Pizza. That was their big fix. They made us, I mean, we're night shift. We got to stay over to have that damn meeting. Past my bedtime. You know, get your ass kicked all night. You just want to go home and get in bed. You got to stay over for a mandatory meeting. They want to ask your advice on what's going to fix the problems in there. Everybody in there says the same damn thing, and their solution is, well, we want to treat you for your hard work. Let's give you a pizza. Kiss my white ass. You know, like, I don't, like, who's making that call? And you see it too, like, during period, I forget what week of the year it is, but there'll be Nurses Week and Hospital Week, and the management types will walk around and thank you for your service, and the hospital usually give you a little gift of some kind, show you just how valued you are. And having worked as a nurse for a long time, I've been through many of these hospital weeks and nurses weeks. And again, everywhere you go, it's the same thing. You just want help. You want more staff. You want resources. If I'm working in the ER, I shouldn't have to go to 27 different rooms looking for an IV pump. Have an IV pump in every stinking room, okay? It's not asking a lot. But yet you'd be surprised, well, department budget, you know, we we can't afford to get more IV pumps. And, you know, those transporters, sometimes they take a patient up to be admitted on the floor. They don't bring a pump back. And so you're in the ER and you got something you need. You know, you got to start a drip that's going to require an IV pump, and you got to spend 10 minutes walking around looking for one to steal out of another room. It's like, get us some supplies, that's all we want. They ain't got no money for that. But by God, they can buy, come hospital week, they can buy everybody in the hospital a damn umbrella with the hospital name on it. They can buy everybody ink pen, you know, some other crap that you don't want. Like, nobody wants this crap. Like, this is, yeah, you appreciate us, all right. You appreciate it. You got us a damn umbrella. An umbrella. Hell, the fact is, when I'm walking into this shithole, I'm hoping it's pouring down rain and I slip and fall just so I can have an excuse to go home so I don't have to come in here. I don't want no damn umbrella. You know? But that's the suits in the offices. That's their solution to everything. Oh, you've been working short staff for a month? You've been getting your ass kicked every night? You ain't got no supplies? Let's buy about 3 pizzas for the whole department that you ain't gonna have time to eat. Let's stick them in the break room that you never get to go to. Give me a break, man. Y'all done, see, this is what happens. We come out here and we ain't catching no damn fish. Y'all done got me thinking about my past life, and I'm all tore up about it here. That's why I'm glad I'm out. And I guarantee you, any of y'all out there that's working in that environment right now, you know exactly what I'm saying, because it's like that across the board, across the stinking board. I just don't get it, you know. And meanwhile, I'm still going to go on about it here. The hospital itself, the hospital system, they've got all them management positions right there, all trying to justify their existence. You want to get lean? You want to downsize a little bit? You want to send some people home? Let's cut out some of them management positions. They're redundant. They don't need to exist. Let's get rid of some of them. Or here's another thing. Boy, yeah. Oh, it'd be time for a raise, right? Be there at the hospital at home, and time for a raise, and of course you getting knocked down off your 1% or 2% because you didn't do the mandatory 15 damn in-services and staff meetings and committees and all that crap. So and even still, even if you get it, it's a stinking 2%, you know, it's nothing. This fish over here ain't nothing either. He better take that rod down. I'm fired up. I'm gonna set that hook with authority if he gets it, by God. I think he's let it go here, maybe. Yeah, he's let it go. Smart thing for that fish to do. I was going to jerk his jaw, buddy. But no, you get to a situation. It's time for a raise. It's your yearly evaluations, and management ain't got no money to give raises with. They're going to give you 1%, 2% on your base pay, of course, not your actual pay. Not what you're actually making, no. You get 1 or 2% on your base pay. So you really, in reality, you getting less than 1% when it's all said and done. But they're only giving you that because, well, that's all they got. They supposedly ain't got no more money. They ain't made no money this year. It never fails. There's going to be some news story on the TV set, or back then there was newspapers. You're going to read an article about it. There's going to be some donation. The hospital, they ain't got no money for staff, but they found $250,000 to give to something, they're going to build something, or, you can't staff the rooms that you've got now, but we've suddenly got $8 million to build an additional wing on the hospital over here. Again, you can't staff the current rooms you got, and you can't afford to give the staff that you do have any raise, but you got an extra $8 million in the budget to build on over here. It's like, who the hell is making those decisions? That's why everybody hates their job. That's why everybody quits. And unfortunately, when you quit and you go somewhere else, same problem, different location. That was one of the perks of travel nursing, honestly, is when I would be somewhere 3 months, or if I'd extend, maybe 6 months. By the time that I kind of got indoctrinated into what was the real power structure of the place, right? The politics, who's sleeping with who, all that. It was time for me to go on. It was time for me to go to the next place. I remember I worked with a fellow one time. He was quitting. I'd worked with him a little bit there while I was on contract, but he had turned in his notice and he was quitting. We were sitting there at the desk, and he was talking about the other place he was going. And I was like, I'd been traveling a while. I'd been around a little bit, and I was like, man, the grass ain't always greener on the other side, man. Like it's bad everywhere, and that particular hospital it had its problems, but it wasn't as bad as some of the places I'd been. So I was like, grass ain't all. I hope it works out for you at the new place you're going. I hope it's better for you, but the grass ain't always greener. and I'd said that line during my spiel. Like, I'd said those words, the grass ain't always greener. And his response, he said, man, I don't care if that grass on the other side turns out to be AstroTurf and is covered in dog shit. I just want to be in a different yard. So I was like, all right, man, I get it. I get it. I get where you're coming from. He was just burnt out with it. He's fed up with it and just needed a change. Even if it's the same bullshit some other place, he just needed a change. I get it. That line though. So I don't care if that other yard is AstroTurf and covered in dog shit. I just want to. But yeah, man, that's the world we live in today. And it's funny that I used to put up with that. And now I come out here, I go fishing, and a day like today, I'm not even doing any good fishing. We've caught 4 or 5 fish down through here. I knew we wasn't going to catch good numbers of fish today, but we've caught even less than I anticipated, and we haven't got the quality I'd hoped for. So we're having a lousy day as far as fishing goes. But this still beats any day I ever had on the job at work, when I had the real job. And I'm getting to do something I love, something I want to do, and I'm going to get paid for it. And for the last 6 years now that I've been doing this full time on YouTube, I don't want to jinx myself here, but I've made more money doing this than what I could at working that regular job, where I would have to put in a lot more hours doing stuff I didn't want to do with people I didn't want to be around. And it's like, I get it when these kids today, anytime I meet somebody young that recognizes me on YouTube or something, or I meet somebody and they've got kids and they get to talking about their kids for whatever reason, it's always the same story. Every one of them wants to be a YouTuber or TikToker or some content creator, right? Nobody wants to work a real job anymore. When I was a kid, of course, I grew up in the days before YouTube and social media and all that. But when I was a kid, man, teacher would ask you what you want to be when you grow up. People wanted to be doctors, lawyers, police officers, firemen, baseball players. You know, those typical jobs that you think of that are good for society, right? Like society, we need doctors. We need firemen. We need police officers. Even though I don't like the police most of the time, we need police officers. We need school teachers. Like there's jobs that are important to society that we need, and kids used to want to be those things. Those used to be respected professions that people aspired to be. Those days are over. People nowadays, kids nowadays, they don't want to be a school teacher. You mean they want to go work all day for a low-paying job? Hell no, they don't want to do that. They want to be a content creator. Whatever it is they do. Maybe they like video games or baseball cards or whatever. Like, they just want to make content around that. And, you know, it's, again, we talked about it earlier. The likelihood of any one of those kids making it at a high level on any of these social media platforms, it's slim. Especially long term, you know, even if they do make it, it might be for a year or two. Having long term sustained success, it's very hard. But hell, you can't fault them for wanting it, because when their kids growing up and they're watching Mr. Beast, who is a multi-gazillionaire, making money doing something he absolutely loves, or they look at their parents, who's maybe a police officer and a school teacher, working for crap pay, doing a job they hate, well, of course they're going to want to be Mr. Beast, right? So the problem we have in society right now is we have a whole generation of kids who have no desire to work in jobs that, quite honestly, as society, we're going to need at some point down the line. Okay? You can do without a lot of jobs. If the baristas at Starbucks go on strike, well, that's an inconvenience for the divas out there that like their $7 coffee. But the world keeps moving. Okay? The world rolls on. But when you've got a population, which we have in America here, that's aging, we got all these baby boomers getting old that need medical care, and there's not enough medical workers to take care of them. I'm sorry, the robots, these AI robots, aren't going to save you. They're just not. So you need people doing them jobs. Now, fortunately, again, a lot of these kids, they're aspiring to be content creators. When reality hits and that don't work out, a lot of them are going to have to go back and get a real job, right? Or, I don't know, some of them live with their parents till they're 30. I mean, hell, even if they get a real job, they can't afford a house these days. At least not in my area. I mean, Tennessee, wages have barely gone up at all. Here's the thing. When I got out of nursing school the second time and I became an RN, in the Knoxville area, most of the hospitals in my area started out a new grad RN at about $18 an hour, base pay. You get your shift diffs there on top of it, but it was about $18 an hour, give or take. You know, that'd be one or two hospitals in the area. It might pay $1 more or something, but that was pretty much across the board, about $18 an hour. Now here we are, fast forward damn near 20 years later. I believe the starting pay now for a new grad nurse in Knoxville is around $25 an hour, base pay. 25, 27, something like that. When you look at the cost of living, how the cost of living has gone up in the last damn near 20 years, and especially since COVID. COVID really changed everything. I can't speak for the entire South, but for sure in Tennessee, COVID changed our whole world here because everybody started moving here. People got these jobs, or they had jobs where they were going into an office or a workplace somewhere, and then all of a sudden they're sent home and they're working remotely, and now they can work anywhere in the country. And a lot of people certainly changed jobs, changed careers during COVID. And so we had this influx of people come in, right? People from New York, California, Michigan, all these people start coming to Tennessee because our cost of living's cheaper and we have no state income tax, and they're working these remote jobs so they can continue their high rate of pay wherever they're at and have a cheaper cost of living. So everybody starts coming here. Well, supply and demand. Demand for houses goes way up because of the influx of people, but supply goes down. So housing prices go through the roof. A house in my area that was, say, 2019 before COVID might have went for, say, $150,000. I mean, pre-COVID, you could buy a nice house in my area for $150,000. If you wanted to spend $250,000, you could damn near get a mansion before COVID. Now, my God, if you find just a standard 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot house in my area now, you're going to spend $400,000 on it. Well, housing prices have basically tripled in the last few years, but you know what hasn't tripled? Wages. Wages have barely gone up at all. And when they have, it's just been kind of incrementally. And again, just speaking from my industry, almost 20 years now, you went from starting new grad, fresh out of college, $18 an hour, to now you 25 to 27, depending on the hospital. Wages have not kept up with the cost of living here. So you get these kids, they come out of school, they've got tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and because they're out of school, now them student loan payments are hitting, and they're taking jobs that, even if they've got a skill, they've maybe they're a nurse, whatever, and they're making a decent wage, they still can't afford housing. And you say, well, Justin, maybe they don't buy a house, maybe they rent an apartment. Apartment rent's gone up too. We had some new apartments built, right, and it pisses me off. The local politicians in my town, they're all scumbags, they're crooks. Every one of them's getting their palms greased by these real estate developers. Anyway, we got all these apartment complexes going up in my town. And I looked at I don't have any interest in living in an apartment, of course, but I was just curious one day. I was looking up the prices. Like, what's one of these apartments over here by the grocery store? What's one of them cost? Y'all, a 1-bedroom apartment in this particular complex was $1,700 a month. A 1-bedroom in East Tennessee. Again, you go back pre-COVID, that would have probably been $500-600 a month. $1,700. And so you get some kid fresh out of college, even if he's making $25 an hour, he's got student loan payments, he's got a car payment, his insurance. Now you throw in $1,700 a month rent on a 1-bedroom? Are you kidding me? Who the hell can afford that? Who can afford it? Nobody can. We're priced out. People who grew up here in East Tennessee are priced out. And I don't know how you fix it. these real estate developers and stuff, like, they're going to do what they do for the most amount of money possible. When they're developing these apartment complexes or building these subdivisions, they want to put the whether it's apartments or houses or whatever, like, they're going to try to get the best bang for their buck, right? They want to make the most money. And because of the supply and demand, we got all these people coming here, and there's limited supply. They can charge whatever they want. And when you get these people who have been living in California or New York, and maybe they've been out there their whole life, and so their houses are worth, the real estate's more in those places, and they've built some equity because they've been out there so long. Well, they can come from California, they can sell their 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house for $800,000 and come to, well, at least, before the gold rush hit here in Tennessee, they could come here and buy a damn mansion and have money left over. So I get why they're doing it, and I get why the developers are going to, developers, they're not wanting to build more affordable 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot houses. They're not wanting to build little 800 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bath places like starter homes for people fresh out of school, starting a life for themselves. They don't want to build that. Why would they, when they can put a bigger house on the same property and sell it before it's even built? Hell, half these damn subdivisions in my area, the homes are sold before they even break ground. Supply and demand, man. But meanwhile, the people that's around here, that grew up here, it's all we've ever known, priced out. So they're staying at home, man. You got people 30 years old, college degree, got a good job, living at home with their parents, or working multiple jobs. Like, it's just, I don't know how you fix that. Like, I don't know what the solution to that is. And I'm thankful that I grew up when I did. Because my house, I was fortunate. I bought my house as a foreclosure. So I got at the time it didn't, because I wasn't making no money at the time. When I bought my house in 2006. This was back when I was still an LPN, so I wasn't making much money back then. So it was a lot of money to me at the time, but now there's no way I would ever find a house like mine for what I paid for it. And my house now, again, my house 5 years ago, because my house is small. I've got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, small house. Got a carport and a shed. I got 4 acres. My property 5 years ago would have been one of them houses you could have got for less than $150,000 probably. If I had tried to sell it 6 years ago, before COVID, that's what I'd have got out of it. But now, I just had a house sell down the road from me recently. About the same size as mine, a little bit newer, but about the same size. $400,000. Like, if I had been, when I bought my house, if I had been forced to buy at the prices things are today, with the wages, even if my wages back then were adjusted to today's rates, I wouldn't have been able to do it today. I couldn't have done it. I'm fortunate I got my house when I did, because I couldn't have afforded it today. And of course, the haves don't give a damn about the have-nots. Don't go thanking me for no socialist or communist or no crap like that. I'm certainly not. I'm all for capitalism. If you know what you're worth, go get what you're worth. You need better skills. If you ain't making enough money, go make more money, right? I'm for that. But at the same time, too, you can't take away people's hope. People have to have hope. Everybody needs hope. You need hope of a better life for yourself, for your family, etc. And when these kids are coming out today, they're coming out of high school or college or vocational program, whatever it is, and they're entering their career field. And I don't care what you do. I don't care if you're a nurse, an electrician, a plumber, a carpenter, whatever. When you first start your career, you're not going to make as much, right? Like, you're going to be on the lower end of the salary spectrum when you're brand new, fresh on the job, no experience. I can't imagine how discouraged these young people must be today to know that they've put in the work, they've done the time, man. They've done everything they can do to put themselves in a position to succeed. They've gone to school or they've learned a trade. They've got a job in their career field. They're climbing their way up, learning the skills, trying to better themselves, and can't even afford to put a roof over their head. Having to stay. You know how demoralizing it must be for somebody to feel like they've made it, right, man? You graduate college, you get that nursing degree, you get the job that you always wanted, and you can't even move out of your damn parents' house? You know how demoralizing and how, I mean, you just crush people right from the start. And at some point in time, now this won't apply to everybody. Some people are mentally stronger than others, and they'll just, like I said, they're just going to find a way, man. You put a roadblock, they're going to pivot, they're going to move, they're going to adapt, they're going to find a way. But you've also got a big chunk of society that, even if they're the type who can pivot and adapt and go with the flow, at some point in time, they just get beaten down to the point that they just say, you know what? I'm throwing in the towel. I quit. I give up. And that's a problem, man. That's going to be a problem in our society going forward, especially as more people reach that breaking point. And they're going to hit it. They're going to hit it. They're going to be forced into hitting it because you can't even afford to live, man. They can't get housing. They can't, and it's not even so much my generation come out with all of the college debt, the student loans, right? That crippled my generation because it was my generation that was sold the lies by the previous generation that we needed. And again, it wasn't lie. They weren't trying to lie to us. They were passing on old information. What would have been helpful for my parents' generation, they passed that on to me because they wanted a better life for me, but the times had changed. Okay? But my generation got saddled with that student loan debt. And, I paid all mine off. But there's a lot of people that took on tens of thousands, in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, and can't find gainful employment. And meanwhile, them student loan payments keep coming every month. You can't bankrupt your way out of them damn student. You can bankrupt your way out of a mortgage, a car payment, credit card debt. You can bankrupt your way out of everything, but not student loans. Them linger on you for the rest of your days. And now, I think the new generation has wisened up. I think people my age that have had kids and, they're at college age, career age, whatever, they're warning them. I would be warning them. Be like, don't go to college unless the career field you want to go into requires that you have that degree. Don't go to college just for the sake of going to college. Get a skill, get a trade, get something that you can monetize. So the new generation isn't necessarily maybe going to get saddled with that debt like my generation did, but they are saddled with the price of goods and the price of homes that they can't afford. So even if they go out and they do things right and they become an electrician or a plumber or carpenter and they have little to no loans from their school programs or vocational programs, they still can't afford to live. So what do you do, man? I don't know. I don't know. But you're going to have a whole class of people in our society that are just going to give up at some point. And I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens to our world when that occurs. But I have to believe it's coming. I have to believe it. I'll tell you what else is coming too. My time of getting the hell out of here. I don't know that I want to drift down much further. How long has it been? Y'all, how long has it been since we caught a daggone fish? I mean, we didn't get skunked today. But boy, it ain't been productive at all. Not compared to some recent trips where we've caught a buttload. I mean, just yesterday. Of course, different environment. I'm up on that flat. Much shallower, of course. But I mean, we was one fish after another. Got that big flathead. Got a nice blue. I should have stuck with that pattern, I guess. Making the drive down here, I thought, we'll have a little current flow this morning. Fish some deeper depths that I would typically hit this time of year. It's been the Dead Sea down through here. You've seen it. Well, you ain't seen it. All you've done is hear me talk, but there ain't been. Hell, that damn little flathead was the highlight of the morning. The biggest blue there, what I thought was the blue, we lost. That other one we pulled up, we'd hooked in the side. So it's been kind of a dud of a day. Just, that's fishing. That's how it goes, y'all. That's unfortunately part of it, man. That's fishing. You can't appreciate the great days if you don't have a few crummy days. And today, I won't say it's crummy as far as being out here. It's been a nice morning. We saw hardly any boats. It's just now starting to get miserable hot as that sun's kind of burned through the haze and whatnot. But kind of a dud as far as the fishing goes. So I think I've drifted down about as far as I want to go. I think I'm going to get out of here, y'all. I'm going to pack up and make my journey north and hopefully don't get stuck in traffic or construction and take me all damn day to get home. But I don't know. I don't think I'm going to fish tomorrow. The wind's supposed to be up a little bit. I'm a little bit of a diva now. I pick and choose my days. So I think I'll take tomorrow off. Maybe get out and get some bait or something. And then the following day's looking okay. So maybe get out. But I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to do another catfish trip. I don't know if I want to do an ultralight trip. Maybe a carp trip. We got options. So we'll see. We'll see what the mood strikes me. So I don't know what the next video will be, but whatever the next video is, I hope to God there's more fish than what there was in today's video. I'm sorry to subjecting you to all this, y'all. From my endless rants to the lack of fish, I apologize. But this is real, man. This is real fishing. This is what you get if you were really out here with me. So we're rolling with it. We're posting this crap. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. I'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks for coming with me today.